Chapter 1602. Their benefactor? Sima Yu immediately thought of who he was talking about. Who else could be the benefactor of her father and daughter other than Yin Lin, who saved her when she was still in swaddling clothes? Divination is around here? She really didn't know where divination was. It's not that close, it'll take a few days. Sima Lu Xian said. A journey of a few days wasn't considered far in this vast continent. This place is so close to the divination temple. Why don't they know that the emperor's tomb is here? Sima Yue asked curiously. You'll have to ask him. Sima Lu Xian shrugged. He also felt that the divination should know that there was an imperial emperor's tomb here, but why didn't they come to look for it? He would have to ask them to find out. Since that's the case, let's go to divination. I miss Xiao Tong too. He helped a lot when we were able to save Dad. Sima Yue thought of Xiao Tong and wondered how he was doing now. Divination? Then we can find Master Yin Lin and ask him to help us calculate how to find Master when we reach the lost place. If he is willing to help, we can avoid many detours. Jiang Junxian also felt that this trip was feasible. Therefore, Sima Yue called Chongming out and rushed to divination that very night. On an inconspicuous mountain, there were many small courtyards located on the mountain. In the tallest courtyard, Yin Lin was talking to a disciple. Little Tong, Yin Lin called out softly. The apprentice came in from outside and bowed to him. Master! An important guest has arrived. Go down the mountain and welcome him. Yin Lin instructed. Little helper stood up and ran down the mountain excitedly. Since he was an honored guest with his status in the sect, it was not his turn to treat him. However, his master had asked him to come out and greet him, so it should be related to him. Thinking about it this way, who was it that called out? Sure enough, as soon as he reached the foot of the mountain, he saw the familiar figure of Chongming, as well as the person he missed very much on its back. Sima Yue and the others had just gotten down from the Chongming when the child came up to them and said with a smile, Sister Yue, Master said that an honored guest is coming, and it really is an honored guest. Sima Yue looked at Xiao Tong. They had not seen each other for more than 10 years, but he was still the same. It made her feel as if the past 10 years had not passed at all. Seems like Great Master Yin Lin already predicted our arrival. Sima Yue smiled. Since that's the case, let's pay him a visit. Is it convenient for you? She had heard that many reputable people had come. It was already good enough to be able to enter the mountain gate, let alone see Yin Lin in person. Master is discussing some matters with the disciples, but if we walk all the way, it should be about time. The little boy gestured towards them and then led the way to the mountain gate. The people guarding the gate did not stop them. Xiao Tong led them straight in and slowly walked up the mountain. Sima Yue looked at the mountain top. The top of the mountain was surrounded by clouds and mist. The mountain was covered in lush greenery and there was a gurgling stream between the mountains. There was also the crisp sound of birds chirping from time to time. The environment was quite good. As they walked up the mountain, Xiao Tong explained to them, such as when this place was built, what kind of rare fish there were in the small lakes and so on. It was obvious that he was very excited. When the disciples passing by saw little helper acting like this, they were all a little surprised. Little junior brother usually looked quite steady. Who are these people? How could they make him so happy? Xiao Tong ignored those surprised gazes and led them up the stairs to the highest courtyard. This is Master's courtyard. Those people have not come out yet, so they should not have finished their discussion. Let's wait here. Xiao Tong led them to the square outside the courtyard. Sima Yue looked at the surrounding scenery. Other than these courtyards, there were no man-made buildings on the other mountains. Divination was really lucky. Han Miao Shuang thought so too. She asked Xiao Tong, divination has a high status in the continent. Why don't you build some grander buildings? Xiao Tong smiled and explained, Master said that we have already received God's pity, so we don't need to care about material comforts. Whether it's the main hall or the thatched cottage, they are all worldly possessions. We don't need them. Instead of thinking about those things, we should improve our inner self. This way we can cherish God's gift. But you don't have to make yourself like a monk. Han Miao Shuang felt that their lives were too tough. Master said that this way we can better maintain our nature. Xiao Tong said. Sima Yue nodded. Divinators could predict the future. They could know things that others did not know. They could calculate the vicissitudes of the world and the prosperity and fortune. If they didn't maintain their original self, once they lost themselves in the sea of material desires, the things they did could endanger others and even change the world. Divinators' lifespan was shorter than normal spirit masters. What was the use of wealth and glory? At this time, a few people walked out of the courtyard. Xiao Tong bowed slightly to them and sent them off. Esteemed guests, please forgive me for not going out to welcome you. Please come in. Yin Lin's voice was heard. Xiao Tong led them in. Sima Yue realized that there were no tables or chairs in the house. There were only praying mats. Did they really make it look like a temple? Everyone, please don't mind. Yin Lin waved his hand at them and gestured for them to sit on the praying mats. Sima Yue realized that something was wrong when she sat down. The praying mat was a little hard. It was like sitting on a rock. It was also warm. I happen to be teaching them here, so I need to use warm jade as a support. There are tables and chairs in other places. Yin Lin explained. This warm jade is rare. I didn't expect to sit on a praying mat here. Just now I thought that your life here was tough. Now it seems that your life here is low-key luxurious. Sima Yue laughed. Hee. Yin Lin didn't explain. They were a sect after all. It was impossible that they didn't have anything good. Divination didn't promote luxurious life, but they still had the style. I haven't congratulated you. You must have gained a lot from your trip to the tomb, right? I knew it. You should know about that tomb. Sima Yue wasn't surprised at all. This trip wasn't bad. We gained some benefits, but there were also some doubts. I was just about to ask you to help me solve my doubts. Doubts will be solved one day. The reason why you are still doubtful now is that the day you find out the truth has yet to come. Yin Lin smiled. Sima Yue curled her lips. How different was this from the heavenly secrets that couldn't be revealed? Since you already knew that there was an emperor's tomb there, why didn't you investigate? Chapter 1603. Sima Yue asked what was on everyone's mind. We aren't fated with him. Even if we enter, we won't gain anything. Instead, there will be unnecessary sacrifices. Yin Lin indeed knew about the tomb. Only you guys have such a faint heart. Sima Xiuqi had a bone-deep respect for Divinator. If it were anyone else, knowing that there was an imperial emperor's mausoleum, they would have long gone to snatch the treasure, right? Just like last time, even though they knew that there was something fishy about the Qi spirit, there were still a lot of people who rushed forward and left their lives there. It was only because he was unable to resist the greed and lust in his heart. Then do you believe in the concept of the destined person? Sima Yue asked again. Yes and no. Yin Lin couldn't see, but his eyes didn't look empty. He looked at Sima Yue with a smile. Everyone has their own destiny. This is predestined by the heavens. Many people felt that they were rebelling against fate, but they didn't know that it was the path that fate had set for them. Everyone has their own things to do, and the so-called fated people only do things differently from others. But what if the destined person doesn't have the heart? Just like her, she didn't really want to go against the heavenly Tao. Even if it's unintentional, it's still possible to walk down that path. Yin Lin knew what Sima Yue was thinking. Since it's destined, it's inevitable. Sima Yue was silent. Would it really happen? Master Yin Lin, will Yue face a great calamity? Sima Lu Xian asked. If there's something, there's a price to pay. But sometimes, death doesn't mean the end. Instead, it's a new beginning, an opportunity to break out of a situation. Yin Lin didn't answer directly. Instead, he gave the simulation some words. However, everyone could tell that there was a dead knot in her life. But this wasn't a bad ending. Instead, it was a new beginning. Sima Yue didn't care, but Sima Lu Xian and the others were scared out of their wits. They hurriedly asked if there was any way to resolve it. This is a cycle that cannot be changed. However, the final outcome will depend on her luck. Yin Lin said. In that case, she might not die? Feng Zhixing asked. This, heaven's secret cannot be revealed. Lin's words blocked all their questions. Sima Yu rolled her eyes at him in her heart. This divine Ji really said this sentence. Master Lin's mind, where's this? Can you give us some pointers? Jiang Jun asked. Sustes? Lin closed his eyes and meditated for a while. Sima Yu realized that the space between his eyebrows would move when he meditated. After a long while, he opened his eyes and said, "It's the right time for you to find him." Hisue? And the others is they. Then may I ask where Master is now? How can we find Master? Han Miao Shuang asked. These is there. There. Lin said, seeing that they still wanted to ask, "It's not good for you to say too much. It might even bring danger to them." Since he said that, no one dared to continue asking. Then they talked about other things. Chatting with Guruji was generally very enjoyable. At least, they could find common topics to talk about when they were full of knowledge and other people's little secrets. After chatting for a while, everyone felt that Master Lin was not so cold. He was quite friendly. On the way back, Sima Yue heard Han Miao Shuang's description of Lin. Wasn't it easy for Master Ji to trick them? Sister Yue, why don't you stay here for 2 more days? Master said that you don't have to rush. That means 2 more days won't matter. Little Helper said to Sima Yue. Okay. Sima Yue agreed readily. To be able to be a guest at divination was an honor that others envied. Little Helper saw that she agreed and immediately went to arrange a place for them to stay. He didn't bring them to the guest room. Instead, he asked people to clean up the small courtyard beside his courtyard. Then, he brought them to visit divination for the next 2 days. Even though it was a visit, they finished visiting it in a day because this divination was too small. After staying for 2 days, Sima Yu and the group went to bid farewell to Lin. Lin only nodded slightly and said, "It's good to hide your incompetence, but sometimes it's your talent that makes people look askance at you." After that, he let them leave. Little Helper sent Sima Yue to the mountain gate and watched her leave reluctantly. He didn't know when he would be able to see her again. Lin stood at the top of the mountain and looked at Little Helper, who was a little disappointed. His emotions were as messy as the wind. He was conflicted. On one hand, he wanted Little Helper to interact with Sima Yue. That was his destiny and couldn't be changed. But on the other hand, he had his own selfish motives. He wanted Little Helper to avoid that calamity. But as he said to them before, was it really something that could be avoided? Fate always had its fixed path. In the end, it couldn't be avoided. What had already started, he couldn't change it. The only thing he could do was to try his best to remedy it at the end, even if he would lose his life. Little Helper sent Sima Yue off. He turned around and saw his master's lonely figure at the top of the mountain. This scene, until the end of his life, was still fresh in his memory when he looked back on this life. But at this time, he still didn't understand why his master had such an expression. Why did he look as if he was about to become immortal? Sima Yue and the group left in the Chongming. They went to the address given by Mao Sanquan. However, when they arrived at that place, what they saw was a vast ocean. Is the address given by Mao Sanquan correct? Feng Zhixing was a little dizzy when he saw the ocean. That's right. Director Mao said that a reed can cross the river and the sea. Lost Peng Lai, the future of God. We should have to cross the sea. Su Xiaoxiao said. But there's no boat here. Let's wait. Sima Lu Xian said, Father, when you went there, did you also go from here? Sima Xiuqi shook his head. We followed others there. We used their transportation array and went directly to the lost land. Speaking of which, we didn't know that it was an island because it was too big. Since Director Mao said it was here, there should be a boat. Let's wait and see. If it doesn't work, we'll think of a way to go there directly. Okay. They waited here for 10 days. Not to mention a boat, even a spirit beast didn't appear. Just when everyone was about to be disappointed, the sound of oars cutting through the water came from the fog. Chapter 1604. Previously, the sea was calm and tranquil, stretching as far as the eye could see. Where did the thick fog come from? However, a day ago, a thick fog slowly floated over from the surface of the sea, enveloping the entire surface of the sea. Even divine sense could not penetrate it. The fog was strange, but what was even stranger was the sound of oars in the fog. There was nothing just now. The sound of paddling was too sudden. Then, an average-sized ship appeared. The boat slowly emerged from the thick fog. There were a few oars on the deck. The few of them used the oars to propel the boat over. Nearing the shore, the anchor was dropped, and a group of men disembarked. He looked at Yue and the others who were waiting by the shore and left without saying anything. When most of the people on the deck had come down, a man wearing a sleeveless linen waistcoat appeared on the deck. His head was wrapped in a white cloth. When he saw Sima Yue and the rest, he frowned. "Why are there only so few of you? Forget it, do you want to cross the sea? Is this the ship that leads to the Lost Lands?" Huang Yingning asked. The man took out a cigarette from his belt and knocked it on the deck. When he heard her words, he glanced at her indifferently and said in a contemptuous tone, "Aren't you guys waiting here for my ship? Are you coming? If not, I'm leaving." From what he said, he should be going to the Lost Lands. Seeing that Sima Yue and the others were about to board the ship, the man added, "Oh right, 100,000 high-grade crystals per person, no bargaining." The corners of everyone's mouths twitched when they heard this. A ship fare of 100,000 top-grade crystals was too expensive. Fortunately, the Sima family was not short of money, especially Sima Yue. She had made a lot of money from the last auction. She boarded the ship and gave him 800,000 top-grade crystals. Only then did the man's attitude become much better. When he saw Sima Yue looking at him with a smile, he laughed and said, "Little girl, you're quite straightforward." In the past, those people, regardless of whether they had money or not, liked to complain to him that the ferry fare was too expensive. Otherwise, they would say that there were more people and they would give him a discount, which annoyed him greatly. Uncle wants to ensure our safety and build such a ship. He must have spent a lot of effort and money. It's only right for him to collect the fees. Sima Yue said with a smile. "Ah, little girl, you're quite smart." The man laughed. "May I know how to address you?" Sima Yue saw that he was in a good mood and took the opportunity to get close to him. "You can call me Helmsman Tua." Helmsman Tua rarely liked a little girl and was willing to talk to her. "Then can I call you Uncle Tua?" "Up to you." It was just a form of address, so he didn't care. He waved at Feng Zhixing and the others and said, "You guys, come and paddle." Feng Zhixing and Sima Lu Xian looked at each other, thinking that they had misheard. "Yes, just the few of you guys." Helmsman Tua saw that they were still in a daze and knocked on the side of the ship with his pipe. "Why are you still in a daze? If you don't paddle, how can this ship sail?" "I'm not in a hurry, it doesn't matter if you don't want to go." "You didn't hire a crew? I have to pay them. Besides, my ship is so small, how many people can it seat if I hire a crew? Do you want to paddle or not? If you don't want to, then get off, but I won't refund the money." Helmsman Tua threatened. What else could they say? One by one, they picked up the oars and paddled. The ship slowly sailed away from the shore. Helmsman Tua saw that they had started to paddle, so he sat on the stool next to Classic, took out his leaf cigarette, rolled it, inserted it into the cigarette butt, lit it with spiritual power, and started to smoke. Sima Yue sat next to Helmsman Tua and asked, "Uncle Tua, when you came, did you also let the guests paddle? How long will my father and the others paddle?" "Don't worry, after this shallow sea area, we don't need to paddle anymore. It won't take long." Helmsman Tua snorted. "That's good." Sima Yue didn't mind his tone and continued to ask, "Uncle Tua, this is our first time going to the Lost Land. Can you tell us about the situation there?" "What are you going to do there?" Helmsman Tua asked. "To find my master and teacher. They went there for me decades ago, but I haven't heard anything from them recently. We are worried about their safety, so we want to find them. But we are not familiar with the Lost Land, so we want to ask you about the situation there." Sima Yue said honestly. "Looking for people, I thought you were looking for treasures." Helmsman Tua said, "People who go to the Lost Land are all aiming for the treasures on the island. TK, if there are treasures on the island, Why would outsiders like us have a chance? Some of them are just fools. Actually, it's not strange. From an outsider's point of view, a place related to the god clan is full of treasures, right? If you get a cultivation method, a divine weapon, or a spiritual skill, it will be enough for you to use for a lifetime. Sima Yue said. I see that your eyes are clear. Aren't you curious about what you said? Of course I'm curious. I'm a common person. I love those treasures. But I know what I'm going to do. Compared to those treasures, my master and teacher are more important. Helmsman Tuo glanced at Sima Yue. If she said that she wasn't interested, he wouldn't pay attention to her anymore. Because that kind of person was too fake. He didn't like people who said those things to please him. Where did you say your master and the others went for you? Why? To be honest, there are some problems with my body. My master and the others heard that there is a solution there, so they came here when I was unconscious. When I woke up, they had already left for a long time. Thinking of Su Jin and Gulang's care for her, her heart felt warm. Humph, you've met two good masters. Helmsman Tuo took out a small booklet and threw it at her. This is about some things on the island. You can take a look yourself. I'll charge 20,000 high-grade crystals for others, but since you're quite pleasing to the eye, I'll give you half the price. Just give me 10,000. Sima Yue took the booklet and said with a smile, Uncle Tuo, aren't you afraid that I won't give you the crystals if I take the book? Helmsman Tuo glanced at her and didn't answer her, but his eyes were very clear. You dare not give it to me? Just throw it into the water. However, his eyes were very accurate. This girl in front of him was clearly someone with a lot of money and was the easiest to trick. This kind of person wouldn't do such a shameless thing. Or it could be said that no one dared to do such a shameless thing in front of him. Sima Yue was seen through by him and pouted. She took out 10,000 top-ranked crystals and gave it to him. Seeing her crystal card lose 10,000, her heart was bleeding, but when she heard Helmsman Tuo's words, she almost fell into the water. Chapter 1605. Helmsman Tuo said, You can't take this booklet with you, you can only read it on the ship. You have to give it to me when you get off the ship. As for how much you can read, that's up to you. That was to say, he had charged her 10,000 top-grade crystals just for watching the show. Sima Yue clenched her fists and loosened them several times. She tried her best to suppress the anger in her heart. A good woman doesn't fight with a scoundrel. After she silently repeated it twice in her heart, she slowly calmed down and asked with a smile, Uncle Tuo, you must be very rich, right? I'm a poor ghost. Helmsman Tuo saw the calculation in her eyes and denied flatly. Sima Yue rolled her eyes at him, clearly expressing what she meant. Who would believe you? We will walk for more than half a month. You'd better hurry up. Helmsman Tuo reminded. Sima Yue was sure that this guy was an unscrupulous businessman when she saw his smile. However, she didn't have time to talk to him about this right now. She held the booklet and went to the side to read it. Sima Xiuqi and the others paddled for half a day until their hands were sore. Finally, they heard the sound of amnesty. That's enough. You don't need to paddle anymore. Helmsman Tuo said. Su Xiaoxiao and the others felt that the sound was like the sound of nature. Their tired bodies were liberated and they immediately lay down on the deck. Helmsman Tuo had just finished smoking a stick of tobacco. He knocked the residue off the side of the boat and said to the several people who were paralyzed on the boat, You can't stand this much. Helmsman Tuo, this is physical work. Feng Zhixing felt that his hands were no longer his own. With your physiques, you'll definitely be captured and treated like rabbits when you reach the island. Helmsman Tuo glanced at them. His gaze was a bit wretched, as if he was appraising them. Sima Yue happened to look up and saw his gaze. She put down her book and said, Uncle Tu, are you bored enough to do this? Usually I won't, but if you provoke me, I still have a few old buyers. Helmsman Tuo wasn't embarrassed after being exposed. Instead, he smiled wretchedly and his gaze became more wanton. Uncle Tuo, do you know that you look like a procuress now? Sima Yue wasn't worried that they would be sold by him. If he had such thoughts, he wouldn't show it now. Right now. Little girl, can't you say something nice? Helmsman Tuo wasn't satisfied with the title of procuress. I've heard of another term before, but I don't know if you'll understand it if I tell you. What? Pimp. Sima Yu ignored him after she finished speaking and continued to bury her head in the information in her hands. Although she didn't know what? She didn't know the Yue read. A Yue, fortunately, she had the ability to read 10 lines at a glance. Otherwise, she might not have been able to finish reading before she got off the boat. Yuto Yue, and Yue Yun Yue here to cultivate Yuyuit? Yue? It was said that even the beggars on the streets could be supreme-level experts. Therefore, many outsiders also wanted to come here to cultivate, but the spiritual energy here was very strange. Without a specific cultivation method, it was impossible to improve one's strength. At most, one could only replenish the spiritual energy used up. Thinking about it, if it wasn't for the fact that only those with cultivation techniques could stay on the island, then any random person would be able to snatch cultivation resources from them. Initially, he thought that there would not be many people who were related to the celestial race. However, he did not expect that the entire Lost Lands was comparable to a first-rate city. There were many people and complicated relationships. There was also an unusual amount of scheming and plotting against each other, oppressing each other. When she saw the last page, she was stunned and subconsciously looked at helmsman Tuo at the bow of the ship. Little girl, if you stare at me like this, I will think that you are interested in me. Helmsman Tuo leaned against the railing and basked in the sun. Even though he didn't open his eyes, he knew that Sima Yue was looking at him. Uncle Tuo, is this map real? Sima Yue could not help but ask. It is real. Helmsman Tuo did not even dare to lift his eyelids. Sima Yue swallowed her saliva and looked at him with a different gaze. Uncle Tuo, you drew the map in such detail. Aren't you afraid that they will chase after you? I am just a helmsman. Who would chase after me for no reason? Helmsman Tuo said disapprovingly, Little girl, how is it? Is my 10,000 top-grade crystals worth it? Hee, of course it is. Sima Yue calmed herself down. Uncle Tuo is an honest person. Yue is indebted to you. Wait until you come back alive, then you can say this to me. Helmsman Tuo said lightly. Uncle Tuo, do you have this map in every booklet? Do you think it is possible? Sima Yue laughed. It was impossible. On the night after the booklet, there was a panoramic view of the island. Moreover, there was a map of all the forces in every position. What's more, there was even a map of every force. She estimated that if it was even more detailed, there would be a tunnel for them. With such a map in hand, wouldn't she be able to do whatever she wanted on this island? At the same time, she looked at Helmsman Tuo with more respect. Would a person who had such a map be an ordinary helmsman? If those forces knew about it, they would chase after him to the ends of the earth. How could he be so leisurely helmsman here? However, Uncle Tuo, why did you give me this map? I gave it to you. Why do you ask so many questions? Helmsman Tuo finally opened his lazy eyes. He looked at Sima Yue with disbelief and said, If there must be a reason, it is that I like you. You have to take it as your charm. Sima Yue curled her lips. She did not believe in her charm. How could an old man like him be subdued by a little girl's charm? There must be some unspeakable secret. If he did not say anything, the answer would be the same even if she asked again. However, no matter what his purpose was, this map was very important to her. There are still 2 days before we arrive. Why don't you hurry up and look at it? Sima Yue laughed and began to look at the map. She engraved every mountain, every river, every street, and every house into her mind. Who knows which point could help her find her master and teacher? Helmsman Tuo closed his eyes again. In this dilapidated boat, he was so leisurely that he did not fit in. However, none of them went to disturb him again. From the conversation between him and Yue, they could tell that he was not an ordinary helmsman. If they offended him, they would be thrown into the sea to feed the sharks. Another point confirmed their guess. Along the way, they did not encounter any attacks from sea beasts. Chapter 1606. If he wasn't strong, then he might have a high status. No matter which it was, the spirit beasts in the sea would avoid him. Helmsman Tuo was very good at estimating the time. He said that they would arrive in 1 or 2 days, and the ship really arrived at the lost land the next evening, an island comparable to the mainland. Here we are. Give me the booklet. Helmsman Tuo reached out his hand to Sima Yue. Sima Yue had already memorized the entire map. When she saw him reaching out for it, she returned the booklet to him. He also gave him a few jars of good wine. I heard that boatmen drink a little wine. This is the wine that I brewed. Take it as a thank you gift to Uncle Tuo. Helmsman Tuo didn't stand on ceremony. He picked up a jug and opened the seal. A burst of wine fragrance wafted out. He took a big gulp, and the spicy feeling spread throughout his body. This wine is not bad, it's strong enough. Helmsman Tuo kept all the wine into his interspatial ring and said to Sima Yue, "Little girl, I won't take advantage of you. There is an old monster on Rabbit Ear Mountain. You have to be careful when you go there. If you can't handle it, just tell me the name of Helmsman Tuo." They had mentioned Rabbit Ear Mountain when they were on the boat, so it was not surprising that he knew where they were going. Sima Yue grinned. "Uncle Tuo, you're so sincere. If there's any danger later, I'll definitely tell them your name. If we meet again, you have to prepare some more wine like this for me," Helmsman Tuo requested. No problem. There were plenty of them in the spirit pagoda, but taking out too many at once wasn't as tempting. In that case, he would give it to her the next time they met. With the map in their heads, they didn't go to Rabbit Ear Mountain immediately after they got off the ship. Instead, they went to the nearby teleportation portal and went straight to Lee City, which was the nearest city, and found an inn to rest. What Yue didn't know was that not long after they left, a group of people came to the ferry. When they saw Helmsman Tuo dressed as a helmsman, the corners of their eyes twitched. They stepped forward and knelt down together. "Master, you're finally back. What's wrong? I just escorted a guest and you miss me?" Helmsman Tuo's manner changed. The cunning helmsman immediately turned into a rich young master. "Master, a few family heads have come to look for you several times. If you don't appear, they will probably quarrel," the leader explained. "Those old fellows have nothing to do all day long. One day I will make them my helmsmen," Helmsman Tuo said. The people on the ground lowered their heads even more, hoping that their master would not let them be the boatmen. It was really too degrading. "Let's go back. I want to see how much they're going to argue." He disembarked from the ship, walked a few steps, and ordered the person kneeling at the back, "Send someone to pay close attention to the guest I brought back." "Master, is there something suspicious about their identities? I feel that with their arrival, the lost island will become lively. Why would I miss such a good show?" Helmsman Tuo said and left with a smile. His intuition had always been accurate. That girl would definitely give him a surprise. "Master, the helmsman disappeared. Who will be sent to pick up those people? I heard that Northern Du clan, Eastern Lai clan and Ouyang clan are already rushing over. What's the hurry? That old fellow drank my 1,000 years drunk and is now sleeping soundly. When he wakes up, he will naturally come back to take over the helm. Then those people from the hidden clan, just wait. Master, do you have to be so willful?" However, no one dared to say this out loud. Who knew what method their master would use to punish them? A group of people followed Helmsman Tuo and left the ferry. The person who was pointed out by him left the group and chased after Sima Yue. Sima Yue rested in the inn for a while before lying down on the bed. She began to recall the information she received. The Lost Island had thousands of big and small villages and hundreds of cities. They surrounded the 4 main cities like stars surrounding the moon: Phoenix City, White Tiger City, Azure Dragon City, and Black Tortoise City. These 4 main cities also surrounded the central city, Void City. It was said that Void City was just like its name. It did not even have a city wall or any protective measures. However, no one dared to create trouble there because the owner of the Lost Island lived there. If anyone dared to create trouble there, there was only one outcome: disappearing. Perhaps he had been banished, or perhaps he had been killed. No matter what, the troublemaker never appeared on the island again. It was said that the owner of the island was a descendant of the divine clan. He had an extraordinary status and absolute power on the island. Sima Yue did not know if there were any other descendants of the divine clan other than the Feng people. However, it was true that the owner of the island had power and influence. As for those who claimed to have connections with the divine clan, they all lived in the 4 main cities. Those who were not talented or had fallen families would live in the small cities and villages. She would ask Feng Xiang later on. She enlarged the map in her mind and began to look for the location of Rabbit Ear Mountain. Fortunately, her mental strength was strong enough to find Rabbit Ear Mountain in the densely packed terrain. However, she was speechless when she saw the distance. She thought that since Yin Lin asked them to go to Rabbit Ear Mountain after reaching the island, the mountain should not be far from their current location. Who knew that it was 108,000 miles away? She sighed, closed her eyes and rested. She could only go to Rabbit Ear Mountain to look for an opportunity after she had rested enough. She could not guess what the opportunity was. At this moment, she wanted to complain about the actions of those charlatans who used the phrase, "Heaven's secrets cannot be revealed," to brush people off. His heart was neither up nor down, and he felt very uncomfortable. After resting in the small city for 2 days, they began to rush towards Rabbit Ear Mountain. After going through several teleportation portals and flying beasts for a few days, they finally arrived at the vicinity of Rabbit Ear Mountain. "Grandpa, Grandma, I heard that Rabbit Ear Mountain is very dangerous. The sky is already dark today. Let's find a place to rest and enter the mountain tomorrow." After rushing for so many days, everyone was a little tired. She had the strongest mental strength and seemed to be in good spirits. While everyone was resting, she went out and walked around. She realized that the people on the island were more arrogant and looked down on outsiders. However, because she was not the only outsider, she was not targeted. However, she heard from those people that something big happened on the island. That was why there were so many outsiders. She did not know what happened that caused so many outsiders to come to this island that did not have much contact with the outside world. She walked 1 round and inquired about some matters regarding Rabbit Ear Mountain from others. Seeing that she was an outsider, they did not bother about her. In the end, they told her some unimportant information for the sake of money. It was nothing more than where was more dangerous, where there were more medicinal herbs and so on. Chapter 1607. Love. Sima Yue thought that there wouldn't be many people rushing towards Rabbit Ear Mountain like them. However, she didn't expect to see a group of people leaving the city and heading towards Rabbit Ear Mountain as soon as she arrived at the city gate. Since they weren't familiar with the environment, they discussed for a moment and decided to find someone to accompany them. In the end, this glorious and difficult task fell on Sima Yue and Han Miaoshuang. Because everyone agreed with Feng Zhixing's point of view, Yi was born with affinity, plus she and Han Miaoshuang were 2 great beauties, it was easy to get into relationships with others. Sima Yue rolled her eyes. How could she do that? However, the 2 of them resigned themselves to their fate and began to search for their target. He didn't want women in his entourage. He also didn't want people who looked too cunning. He also didn't want people who were too smart. Perhaps, before he could get any information out of them, someone else might get the information out of them. After looking around, they finally chose a group that seemed to have only a dozen people. They were dressed plainly and looked very deceptive. They were discussing something under a big tree outside the city. All of them looked worried. "Excuse me, big brother. May I know which direction is the Rabbit Ear Mountain?" Sima Yue pulled Han Miaoshuang over and asked with a smile. Their conversation was interrupted, but they were not angry. They looked at the 2 of them and pointed in the direction of Rabbit Ear Mountain. "Follow the northeast direction and fly for 2 days." A round-looking man gave them the specific route and time. 2 days? Didn't you say that it would only take 1 day? Sima Yue frowned. "Who gave you a day's time? When I was at the inn, I asked one of my roommates. You've been fooled by him." The round-faced man sized up the 2 of them. "You're not from the island, are you?" No wonder he was fooled. Those people like to do such things when they have nothing better to do. Ah. After walking for a day, you didn't reach the Rabbit Ear Mountain, but the Broken Cliff Mountain. It's just an abandoned mountain with nothing there. Sima Yue and Han Miao Shuang's faces were filled with shock and disbelief. They didn't expect to be cheated by others. To be honest, we are indeed not from the island. We came to Rabbit Ear Mountain because we heard that there was a herb that we needed. I didn't expect that we would be cheated. Sima Yue's words were half true. She had indeed heard from others that it would only take a day. However, with the map in hand, she knew the distance to Rabbit Ear Mountain. That was why she could tell at a glance that the person who gave her directions was not telling the truth. Then you should be here to participate in the Crimson Pearl Convention, right? The chubby man hesitated for a moment and said, "We are going to Rabbit Ear Mountain too. You can come with us, but we can only bring you to the front of the mountain. We cannot enter the mountain with you." "Granduncle," the others called out anxiously. "Granduncle, we still have things to do. What if it's just leading the way? What can happen?" Fatty's words carried weight. When he agreed, the others didn't dare to have any objections. "All right, success or failure will be decided today. If the heavens really want our Gua family to die, it won't be affected just by leading the way." Another man in white said. The two most influential people had already spoken. What else could they say? Sima Yue could tell that these people weren't in a good situation. They wanted to go to Rabbit Ear Mountain to find something to turn things around. To be able to extend a helping hand to outsiders at this time, it showed that these people's character was not bad. "Uncle, how should I address you?" "I am Guinda. You can call me Uncle Gua." Fatty smiled and pointed to the man in white. "This is my nephew, Guexin." "Hello, Uncle Gua. Hello, Big Brother Gua." Sima Yue and Han Miao Shuang bowed to the two of them. "I am Sima Yue. This is my senior sister, Han Miao Shuang. That is my grandpa, grandma, father, and the others." She waved to the few of them from afar. After they walked over, she introduced them to each other. Guinda saw that they looked familiar and didn't ask much. He called out to his people, "It's useless to talk about these now. We will know when we reach Rabbit Ear Mountain. Let's go." The Gua family called out their flying beasts. Sima Yue saw that it was strong but not fast. "Uncle Gua, we are in a rush. My flying beast is faster and bigger. If you don't mind, why don't you come with us?" Sima Yue called out Chongming. Seeing Chongming's real body, Guinda was surprised. But he quickly regained his senses and said, "Since you are in a rush, we will follow you." "All right then. Please go ahead." Sima Yue brought everyone to Chongming's back and let it fly towards the northeast direction. Along the way, Sima Yue and the rest chatted about unimportant things with Guinda. They also talked about their own things to get closer to each other. When they talked about how they were charged 800,000 top-grade crystals for the boat ride, the Gua family treated them as spendthrifts. "Why, isn't it 10,000 per person?" Sima Yue asked when she saw them smiling at her. "No, this boatman's charges are very strange. The standards are different, but there has never been a situation where he charged 100,000 per person." Guinda smiled until his eyes could not be seen. Sima Yue was stunned. So she was cheated? Seeing her dumbfounded expression, the Gua family members all laughed. But it wasn't the kind of laughter that mocked a fool. They just felt that her expression when she realized she was cheated was a little cute. Can the boatman charge as he pleases? Won't people make a fuss if he charges too much? Han Miao Shuang asked. Hee, everyone knows the boatman's identity. Who dares to make a fuss with him? Guexian laughed. Sima Yue said in her heart. She knew that the boatman's identity wasn't low. He really had a background. What's his identity? He has a good relationship with the island master. Don't be fooled by his fat head and big ears. He's very powerful. With both power and background, who would dare to make a fuss? That's true. With these two things, he can do whatever he wants. No, you said that the boatman is fat? Isn't he a strong man? Sima Yue asked. A strong man? You, are you mistaken? The Gua family looked at her strangely. Boatman Tuo's figure can't be considered fat, right? Han Miao Shuang said doubtfully. Boatman Tuo? The boatman that ferried you is surnamed Tuo? That's right. He told us to call him Boatman Tuo. Why isn't it? That boatman's surname isn't Tua. You must have been cheated by someone. Guinda laughed. No wonder they were cheated. This was a one-time deal. Even if they realized they were cheated, they wouldn't be able to find the person to settle the score. Sima Yue didn't think so much. Just from the map that he gave her, she knew that this person's identity wasn't ordinary. Chapter 1608. Wasn't it just a few 100,000 crystal stones? She really didn't care, as long as those things were useful. Thinking of this, she instantly felt like she was a rich and overbearing bag. Yue, since you can take out so many crystals, it means that you don't lack that little bit. Since that's the case, you'd better not go back to look for him. To be able to hang out with someone like the boatman and be able to control his ship, he definitely isn't an ordinary person. Guinda said earnestly. Sima Yue understood that he was afraid that if she went back to argue with helmsman Tua, she would offend someone powerful. In the end, the gains would not make up for the losses. Uncle Gua, I understand. She smiled at Guinda and thought that she had a good eye for people. The people she chose were really good. Then, Sima Yue asked other questions about Rabbit Ear Mountain, such as where were the herbs and so on. The Gua family's answer was similar to what she had heard before. At this point, Guinda could not help but sigh. Uncle Gua, are you guys in trouble? Sima Yue asked. Seeing that the Gua family was looking at her warily, she scratched the back of her ear and said, You guys looked so worried before, and now you're sighing at the mention of North Mountain. That's why I wanted to ask. If there's anything inconvenient, you don't have to tell me. Anyway, this matter had nothing to do with her, so it wouldn't affect her whether she said it or not. She only wanted to ask because she saw that they were nice people. No, if he said it, he might be soft-hearted and go to help. When she thought of this, she actually hoped that the other party would stop talking. Sigh. Guinda sighed again. It's not that we don't want to tell you, but there's no point in telling you. Instead, it will only bring you more trouble. Once we reach the Rabbit Ear Mountain, all of you can just separate from us and the trouble will naturally not follow you. His words aroused the sympathy of Han Miao Shuang and the others. I heard you guys talking about extermination. Is it that serious? The Gua family members were all silent. Han Miao Shuang also knew that she had asked something she shouldn't have and was a little embarrassed. The originally harmonious atmosphere suddenly turned awkward. Actually, it's not a big deal. This is a family matter. If we talk about it, it will only bring you trouble. Guexen smiled. However, this might also be an opportunity for us, so it's not that serious. That's good. Sima Yue then asked a few other questions to cover up what happened just now. Halcyon's speed was extremely fast. If it wasn't for the fact that Sima Yue wanted him to slow down, they would only need a day to reach Rabbit Ear Mountain. Even so, the Gua family was still surprised by Chongming's speed. Sima Yue did not explain further. After arriving at Rabbit Ear Mountain, the Gua family left after exchanging a few words. These people are not bad. They left in such a hurry because they were afraid of bringing trouble to us. Huang Yingying said with some emotion. They could tell that the Gua family was not a big family. It was just a small family living at the end of the island. According to the information Yue had read, a family like the Gua family had to rely on a more powerful family. Thinking of this, she sighed. As the saying goes, wherever there are people, there will be Jianghu. Even a place like the Lost Lands was not spared. It's indeed not bad. I'll let the Scarlet Bees follow them. If it's a small matter, we'll help if we can. If it affects the purpose of this trip. Sima Yue did not finish her sentence, but everyone understood. They came here to look for their master and teacher. Nothing should affect their purpose. Master Yin Lin only asked us to come to Rabbit Ear Mountain to look for an opportunity, but he didn't say what it was. What should we do? Su Xiaoxiao looked at Sima Yue. She had the most contact with Yin Lin, so she might understand what he meant. Sima Yue recalled the last time they went to Ghost City. The opportunity Xiao Tong mentioned was Mu Si. Was it to look for a person this time? She shook her head, indicating that she did not know. Since you don't know, let's just walk around. Anyway, Master Yin Lin said that it's here. I think we'll meet him eventually. Sima Lu Xian said. Didn't he say that there are many herbs here? Since it's the Lost Lands, there should be different herbs here. Since we have nothing to do, why not look around? Feng Zhixing said. All right. Everyone was not familiar with this place, so the group of people wandered around the mountain. Occasionally, they would meet some people who came here to train or to look for treasures. However, they did not see the Guo family. Perhaps everyone was paying attention to the Guo family, so they were not too far away from the Guo family. However, they were brought to the depths of Rabbit Ear Mountain unknowingly. Sima Yue saw that the grass was getting thicker and thicker, and the spirit herbs they obtained were getting older. Sima Yue knew that they were in the depths of the mountain. She frowned slightly when she thought of what helmsman Tuo said about an old monster living here. Perhaps it was because everyone knew about this, so very few people came here and left these spirit herbs behind. The Guo family had always been in front of them, which meant that they were deeper in than them. What did they want that they needed to come to such a dangerous place? Suddenly, she stopped in her tracks and frowned tightly. Yue, did something happen to the Guo family? Huang Ying asked. Sima Yue nodded and said, the Guo family fought with someone. It seems that they saved a young man. The other party is stronger than them. She explained the entire situation in 2 short sentences. The Guo family's strength was not low outside, but on this island, it was not enough. How are they compared to us? If we call the others, there should be no problem. Sima Yue said. The others? Didn't Xiao Shi's father send some people to stay with me? I brought them here. Yes, to protect Xiao Shi's safety. Sima Yue smiled wickedly. Xiao Shi, who was in the spirit pagoda, heard this and rolled his eyes at her. This person who used her position for personal gain, she did not play with him anymore. She only knew how to throw him into the spirit pagoda. Fortunately, he was now familiar with the beasts and was not as clingy as before. When she needed him to leave, he could find something to play with in the spirit pagoda. Most importantly, he and Little Roar could turn the spirit pagoda upside down. If it were not for Qi Yen and the others keeping watch, who knew what would have happened? The first time she saw their results, she could not help but facepalm. She could not bear to hit Xiao Shi. The most important thing was that she could not hit him. If his father found out, he would settle the score with her. Thus, in the end, she hung Little Roar up and hit him a few times, causing him to feel indignant. The 2 of them were the ones who caused trouble, but in the end, he was the only one who was punished. It was not fair, Wu. Chapter 1609. In order to ensure Little Lucky's safety, Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior had left behind a group of ancient spiritual beasts. Before he left, Sima Yue had brought them all into her little realm. However, she could not order those old fellows around. Thus, she called Little Lucky out. At first, Xiao Shi was still a little arrogant. She usually didn't play with her, but now that she was begging her, she was determined to ignore her. However, he couldn't resist the closeness he felt towards her. After obtaining her promise to let him follow them, he asked her to summon the ancient spirit beasts and ordered them to save the people. These ancient spirit beasts were not as protective of Little Lucky as the hidden demonic beast. As long as Little Lucky's life was not in danger, they would not appear. The order they received was to not only protect Little Lucky, but also to listen to him. Now that Little Lucky had ordered them to save her, they naturally did not dare to delay. Without stopping, they rushed to the place Sima Yue had mentioned. Sima Yue and the rest did not stop as well. They followed suit. By the time they arrived, the Guo family was already heavily injured and lying on the ground. A black-clothed man stood beside Guinda and stepped on his chest. He sneered, Guinda, you didn't think that there would be a day when you would be stepped on by me, right? Guinda was already heavily injured, and after being stepped on by that person, he lost half of his life. He grabbed the man's feet with both hands. He couldn't move them away, but at least it would be better. Tang Fei, don't be too happy yet. You dare to chase after young master? Aren't you afraid of being exterminated? Cough, cough. Before he could finish his sentence, he choked on the surging blood and started coughing non-stop. Young master? This bastard? He's not worthy. Tang Fei glanced at the youth lying not too far away and said, At this time, I'm not afraid to tell you that this old man is under orders from above. As long as we kill this bastard, not only will we be exempt from the taxes, we will also be able to participate in the Crimson Pearl Convention. Without him, the person above him would be the young master, the future patriarch. If I follow him, will my Tang family fall into ruin? On the other hand, your Gua family has offended the higher-ups. Just wait for your family to be exterminated. Tang Fei and his subordinates all laughed. They were very arrogant and conceited. The youth on the ground clenched his fists, his face full of resentment and unwillingness. Guinda, although your Gua family is finished this time, you don't have to die today. You can only blame yourselves for being a busybody and wanting to save this person. Let me tell you, none of you are going to escape today. Tang Fei added more strength to his leg. Tang Fei, stop. The youth angrily condensed his spirit energy to attack Tang Fei, but he was also an arrow at the end of its flight, and his attack was easily broken by Tang Fei. Bastard, don't worry. Once I'm done with him, I'll send you on your way. Tang Fei laughed. Tang Fei, if I don't die today, I will definitely slaughter your entire Tang family. The youth said hatefully. I'm so scared. Tang Fei said in a strange tone before sending Guinda flying with a kick. He came to the youth's side and said, Tao Yi Xian, do you still think you're the young master of the Tao family? You're just a bastard from God knows where. How dare you call me that? Didn't you want to slaughter my entire family? Then I'll send you to hell today. After he finished speaking, he condensed his spirit energy in his hand and attacked the person on the ground. Sima Yue secretly cursed. The ancient spirit beast was still so far away from them, how could they save that child? Han Miao Shuang knew that Sima Yue had always been by her side. Before she could sense that she was gone, she saw her suddenly appear beside Tang Fei. She only saw her silently appear and send Tang Fei flying with a palm strike. She grabbed the youth on the ground and retreated 10 meters to Guinda's side. Seeing the person who suddenly appeared, both parties were stunned. The Gua family reacted first and said excitedly, young lady, why are you here? Tang Fei secretly cursed when he heard that. The Gua family and this person obviously knew each other. If she saved Tao Yi Xian, then they would all be finished. However, seeing that she was alone and wasn't very powerful, his anxious heart calmed down. Young lady, I advise you not to meddle in other people's business. Be careful not to lose your little life. Tang Fei threatened. Sima Yu was still carrying Tao Yi Xian in her hands. When she saw how dirty he was, her eyebrows furrowed slightly. She took out a pill and stuffed it into his mouth before releasing him. She let him sit in front of Guinda. As for her, she stood steadily in front of the two of them. This posture was clearly telling Tang Fei that she had saved these two people. Tang Fei originally thought that Sima Yue was young and inexperienced. She had come to help because she was young and ignorant and had given in after being scared. However, he didn't expect that she would completely ignore him and even give Tao Yi Xian a pill to eat. She didn't even put him in her eyes. Tao Yi Xian looked at Sima Yue's back. He didn't know why, but his usually cold eyes were actually a little wet. Ever since he was young, not many people had stood in his way. There had only been 2 women. One of them was his mother who had died protecting him, and the other was this stranger in front of him. Sima Yue stared at Tang Fei for a while. That fearless look, that disdainful look in her eyes, really stunned him. He couldn't help but take a step back. Uncle Gua, should we leave them alive or should we just kill them? Sima Yue turned her head to ask. Guinda never thought that helping them lead the way out of the kindness of his heart would lead to a reversal in today's hopeless situation. He glanced at Tao Yi Xian and said to her, leave them alive for now. The young master may have some questions to ask him. Sima Yue nodded and said, did you hear that? Tao Yi Xian was stunned. Could it be that she didn't plan on doing it herself? Just as she spoke, several figures rushed out from behind and quickly took down the Tang family members. This scene caused the Gua family members to stare in shock. Wasn't this a little too easy? The ancient spiritual beasts had all retracted their auras so that they looked no different from normal transformed beasts. No one would have thought that they were ancient spiritual beasts. Who are you people? How dare you touch my Tang family? Tang Fei refused to give up and wanted to use his family name to scare her. Sima Yue didn't know who this Tang family was. Perhaps it was because they were too young, so they hadn't received Helmsman Tuo's pamphlet. Since that was the case, there was nothing for him to be afraid of. You guys went too easy on them. They still have the energy to make a ruckus. Little Lucky jumped onto Sima Yue's shoulder and pointed at Tang Fei as he cried out. Those ancient spirit beasts understood what he meant and punched him in the stomach again. How could Tang Fei take a punch from an ancient spiritual beast? He couldn't even cry out before he fainted. When the others saw what happened to him, they couldn't help but purse their lips. They didn't think that she was this simple and violent. The remaining people ran over and fed the Guo family members pills so that they could heal their wounds first. If there were any other problems, they could talk about it later. She then began to size up Tao Yixian. Handsome features, large eyes, long eyelashes, and a deep gaze that sucked people in. Chapter 1610. Tao Yixian felt a little embarrassed when he saw Sima Yue sizing him up. It wasn't because he wasn't used to being stared at, but he was afraid that she would see through his emotions. Sima Yue noticed his evasive gaze and squatted in front of him, asking, "Little brother, how old are you?" It was a very normal question, but it made the other party blush. He turned his head to the side and ignored her. This little guy has quite a temper. Han Miao Shuang walked over. "Hey, little guy, we're your saviors. You can't be so arrogant, understand? Yue, don't be like this. Young master is not a child." Guiyinda had already eaten the pill and was able to sit up. When he saw them talking to Tao Yixian like this, he spoke up. "Not a child? Then why does he look like a 10-year-old child?" Sima Yue reached out and pinched his face. There was no human skin mask or anything like that. It was indeed the body of a young man. Tao Yixian wanted to resist, but because his injuries were too severe, he couldn't. Guiyinda's expression changed and he explained, "It's like this, young master was plotted against by them, that's why he became like this. Young master is already over 400 years old." Sima Yue's hand froze in the air. Seeing Tao Yixuan's sparkling eyes, she giggled, "You're really not a kid." Pumph. Tao Yixian didn't want to pay attention to her. However, the area where she had pinched him felt a burning sensation on his face. Fortunately, his face was covered in dust, so nothing could be seen. Han Miao Shuang looked at Tao Yixian curiously. What made him turn from an adult into a child? Guiyinda shook his head. He didn't know either. They turned their gazes towards Tao Yixian. All right, this proud little fellow would definitely not tell them anything. "By the way, Yue, why are you here?" Guiyinda changed the topic to make the atmosphere less awkward. "Oh, didn't you say that there are many medicinal herbs in the North Mountain? We came here to look for herbs and unknowingly, we ended up here. Later on, I heard sounds of fighting, so I came over to take a look. I didn't expect it to be you guys," Sima Yue explained half-truthfully. They had indeed found some medicinal herbs along the way, so it wasn't a lie. "I didn't expect you to be so powerful. We were blind before. I wonder who these benefactors are," Guixian said. They looked at the ancient spiritual beasts with strange expressions. He had never seen these people before, so he had no idea where they came from. "They are his bodyguards." Sima Yue pointed at Little Lucky. "We met them on the way here." The Guo family obviously didn't believe her words. If they had met on the way, why would they be so close to her? Obviously, they had known each other for a long time. But if she didn't say anything, they couldn't ask. She just wanted to know that she had saved them. "Guo Jiaming will always remember your kindness in saving my life." Guiyinda struggled to get up and wanted to salute them. "Uncle Guo, you're seriously injured. Don't move." Sima Yue said, "Kid, why aren't you reacting at all? In any case, I saved your life just now." "You saved me for a moment, but you can't." Tao Yixian suddenly stopped and said, "Thank you." She had saved him, so even if he wanted to give up on himself, what did it have to do with her? Why did he have to implicate her? Sima Yue looked at him and grabbed his wrist. He wanted to take it back, but found that he couldn't. Yue. Guinda looked at her worriedly. Sima Yue finally let go of his hand after a while. She stood up and took 2 steps back, crossing her arms as she looked at him, saying, "You look like you've been poisoned, right? This kind of poison isn't bad either. It can make you return to your youth, don't you think?" Tao Yixin raised his head in shock and looked at her in disbelief. She actually knew that he was in this state because he had been poisoned. Then did that mean that she could cure the poison as well? "I can't cure your poison right now," Sima Yue said honestly. The light in Tao Yixin's eyes dimmed. Even she couldn't do anything about it. Guinda looked at Sima Yue from the side. "Miss Yue, I know that you're very capable. Please save the young master." She could tell at a glance that Tao Yixin had been poisoned, so in their eyes, she was very powerful. Yu was frightened by his kneeling. She had lived for so long, but no one had ever knelt before her. She went over to help him up, saying, "Uncle Gua, don't be like this. The young master is in a lot of pain. Please save him." Guinda stood up with the help of her strength, holding onto her hand without letting go. "Uncle Gua, it's not that I don't want to save him, but that I really can't." Sima Yue said, "The poison he's been poisoned with is called the 100 insects and 100 grass pill. It's made from 100 different poisons and 100 different poisonous insects. If you want to cure the poison, you have to know what these 100 poisons and poisonous insects are. If you make a mistake, then it won't be an antidote, but a poison." Guinda was shocked by this answer. He was so stunned that he couldn't say anything. Tao Yixin's eyes flashed with despair as he sat on the ground. "Yu, how much longer can the young master live?" Guixian asked. "That depends on his body. The deeper the poison, the smaller his body will become. When his body returns to its infantile state, that will be the end." Sima Yue said, looking at him like this, "I think he'll be able to hold on for 1 or 2 years. 1 or 2 years? To a normal person, that wasn't a short time, but to a cultivator, wasn't that just the blink of an eye?" Everyone's faces were filled with despair. "You guys don't have to be like this, right?" Feeling as if everyone's lives had been sucked out, Sima Yue couldn't help but look up at the sky at a 45-degree angle. She gritted her teeth and said, "Actually, it's not like there's no way." Guixian asked. "The person who made this poison either has the antidote or the recipe for the antidote. As long as we can get our hands on it, it'll be fine." Sima Yue said, "The possibility of this poison being made is too high. If he can't remember which poisonous insects and plants he used and accidentally gets poisoned, he'll definitely die. In order to prevent this possibility, they'll leave behind the antidote. As long as you know who poisoned him and get your hands on the antidote, it'll be fine. As long as he doesn't return to his infantile state, it'll be fine." She thought that they would be happy after she said that, but after she finished speaking, everyone went silent. "What's wrong? Don't tell me that person is already dead? If that was the case, then this person really couldn't be saved." "That's not it." Seeing that she misunderstood, Guixian explained, "It's just that this person isn't easy to meet. As long as he's not dead, then there's hope." "Why are all of you crying?" Han Miao Shuang came over and asked. "It's really sad." Sima Yue saw their expressions and understood. Although the person who poisoned him was still alive, he was probably as good as dead. Before she could ask what happened, a sudden aura shrouded them. Sima Yue felt the aura coming towards her. Chapter 1611. That aura only swept over them roughly, but their backs were drenched in cold sweat. First message of love-death seemed to be just a matter of flipping his hand. Fortunately, that aura had no intention of killing them, so it disappeared in an instant. Everyone felt like they had just survived a disaster. However, before they could relax, they felt the aura closing in. After a few breaths, a woman dressed entirely in white appeared in front of them. She had snow-white skin, snow-white hair, snow-white clothes, and snow-white shoes. When Sima Yue saw her, she wondered if this person was the Snow Lady. Other than her, no one else had the courage to look at this woman. Sima Yue looked at her. She could not sense any aura from her as she stood there, But people like her were the scariest. This should be the old monster mentioned by Helmsman Tua, right? The woman looked at Xiao Shi, who was in Sima Yue's arms, and wanted to grab him. However, Sima Yue hugged him and took 2 steps back. "Greetings, senior." Sima Yue carried little Lucky and bowed to the woman. Only then did the woman notice Sima Yue. "Who are you? What does it have to do with you?" "My name is Sima Yue. Xiao Shi is the son of an old friend of mine." "Old friend? Ancient spirit beasts have just appeared in the world, and they're already old friends with you?" The woman's voice was faint, but it was imposing without being angry. Sima Yue was afraid, but she did not show it on her face. If they really fought, he didn't know who would be more powerful, her or the magical beast guarding the space. "I've taken a fancy to this little fellow. Leave him to me," the woman said. "I'm sorry, senior. Little Lucky's father gave it to me. I can't give it to you," Sima Yue said. "You dare to disobey my orders? Aren't you afraid I'll kill you?" The woman waved her hand and Sima Yue felt a strong suction force pulling her towards her. The woman grabbed her by the throat. "Yue, junior sister." Sima Lu Xian and the others wanted to come over, but they were stopped by the woman's gaze. They were unable to move. When Xiao Shi saw how the woman dealt with Sima Yue, he became anxious and quickly attacked the woman. They were already close to each other, and little Lucky was extremely fast. Before anyone could react, he was already in the woman's hand. "Don't hurt him." Sima Yue's eyes were filled with fear. If something happened to little Lucky, how was she going to explain it to Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior? "Senior, Sima Yue, Sima Yue, Sima Yue, Sima Yue. Sima Yue, Sima Yue, Sima Yue, Yue, Sima Yue. Senior, I know that you like Lil Lucky. However, you do not wish to possess him. If you kill me, little Lucky will definitely ignore you." Sima Yue said slowly. "You know what I'm thinking? Senior, there's no lust in your eyes, only curiosity. So I think that you just want to understand the ancient spirit beast, but you don't want to possess it. Am I right?" Sima Yue analyzed. What a clever girl." The woman let go of Sima Yue. Sima Yue was finally able to breathe properly. Everyone's hearts also settled down. "Thank you, senior, for not killing me," Sima Yue said gratefully. "You're so sure that I won't kill you? When we came here, we met a helmsman with the surname Tua. He said that when we reach Rabbit Ear Mountain, if we meet senior, we can just say that he is Helmsman Tua. I think that he can be so sure, not because he is stronger than you, but because you are not a bloodthirsty person." Sima Yue said. "Helmsman Tua?" When the woman heard this name, her emotions changed slightly. "Forget it, since he wants to protect someone, I'll give him this face. Lend this little guy to me to play with for 2 days, I'll return it in 10 days. After speaking, she didn't care about Sima Yue and the rest's reaction and left with little Lucky. Everyone looked at her back view unwillingly. "Yue, are you okay?" Sima Lu Xian went forward and saw the purplish-green marks on her neck. He was very worried. "Father, I'm fine." Sima Yue grabbed his hand, not letting him look at her wounds. "What do we do now?" an ancient spirit beast asked. Sima Yue said one word and didn't speak anymore. She kept looking at the direction where the woman left. The others didn't have any other ideas. That woman was so powerful, who would dare to snatch him? Since she said that she would return little Lucky in 10 days, they could only hope that she would keep her promise. For the first time, she could only watch as things developed and she couldn't do anything. She clenched her hands tightly. If that woman really dared to do anything to little Lucky, she would definitely think of a way to make that magical beast take action. If she was only willing to take action when she was in a life and death situation, she stood there for 2 days, and in these 2 days, no matter who spoke to her, she ignored them. "Yue, since she said that it would take 10 days, it's useless for you to just stand there. Come and rest for a while," Feng Zhixing said with heartache. He originally thought that it was useless, but she moved her body and turned to look at them. It was good that she had a reaction. "Junior sister, you've been standing there for 2 days. Come and rest for a while." Han Miao Shuang walked over and held her hand, pulling her back. Sima Yue nodded and went to rest in their tent. They were right. It was useless for her to just stand there. She could only wait for the results. She washed up in the tent, and when she went out, she swept away her previous depression and found Tao Yixian, saying, "I'll help you take back the position of young master, but you have to help me do something. If you agree, I can stop your body from shrinking." Really? Tao Yixian felt that the depressed her from before was too much of an eyesore. She looked better like this. "I never say things that I'm not sure of." Sima Yue said, "What do you want me to do?" Although Tao Yixian was very moved, he still had to ask for the conditions. "Help me find the whereabouts of 2 people." Just find people? Tao Yixian felt that her conditions were too simple. It was hard to believe. Sima Yue nodded. "It's a little difficult to find 2 people on the entire island. But I think that with the Tao family's strength, it shouldn't be a problem, right?" The Tao family was the largest family in Vermilion Bird City. They were ranked near the top in the small booklet that helmsman Tua had given her. "Then you're saying that you know about the Tao family. Then do you know the situation I'm facing? Do you know how difficult it is to help me take back the position of young master?" Tao Yixian asked. "Of course I do." "Then you're helping me do such a difficult thing, and you only want me to find 2 people for you?" Chapter 1612. Sima Yue looked straight at Tao Yixian and said, "To you, finding someone is a simple matter, but to me, this is very important. As for your matter, although it is difficult for me, it is not impossible." Tao Yixian's body shook. This was the first time he had seen such a confident woman. That kind of confidence was like an ice blade stabbing into his frozen world. It seemed that something was different. "All right, I promise you." He nodded. "You help me regain the position of young master, and I'll help you find the person. At the same time, I can also promise you another condition." Seeing that Sima Yue was about to say something, he waved his hand and said, "I don't like to owe people anything, so I'll agree to your other request. Of course, that's only if it's within my capabilities." Sima Yue did not refuse, but the way she looked at him changed. Such a person could still be considered righteous. "Now, you can tell me about your situation. I want to know everything big and small, so that I can think of a way. I think you guys still don't know who's behind this, right?" Sima Yue said. "Yes and no." Tao Yixian said, "I know who poisoned me, but I don't know who's behind it." Tao Yixian said, "In this kind of family, it was generally obvious who was who, right? Because that person is my foster father." When Tao Yixian mentioned his foster father, his voice trembled slightly. "Adoptive father?" Sima Yue recalled that they used to call him a bastard. "Back then, my father was being hunted down and was poisoned when he was escaping. He met my mother and the 2 of them had a relationship. That was how I was born. But my mother didn't know, and she didn't do it willingly, so she took the jade pendant from his waist and left. At that time, my father already had a wife, and his mind was not very clear at that time, so when he woke up, he did not take this matter to heart. So, he was simply an illegitimate child." "Then how did you return to your family?" Sima Yue asked. "My mother passed away a few years after giving birth to me. Before she died, she handed me over to a good friend of hers and had him raise me. She also told him about my identity. My mother didn't know my father's identity before, but when she found out later, she didn't bring me back. My adoptive father knew my identity, and at my mother's request, he didn't bring me back unless there was nowhere else to go. So, I didn't know my identity until I was in my 20s. However, when I was 25 years old, the Tao family found me and said that they would bring me back to acknowledge my ancestors. Later on, I found out that my father's son had died. He heard that someone had used the jade pendant to inquire about the matter. He remembered that romantic night, so he sent someone to look for me. He knew that I was extremely talented, and his position as the young master was somewhat shaken at that time, so being childless was a huge point of attack. "So you went back?" Sima Yue said firmly. "Although he didn't raise me, he was still my father. Because of some reasons, I was his only son, so he couldn't bear to see others attack him because he didn't have a son. Tao Yixian said, "Also, my adoptive father said that he would go back with me. At that time, I also thought that as long as I was with my adoptive father, it didn't matter where I was. I just didn't think that." "You didn't think that your adoptive father would do something to you, right?" Sima Yue asked. "How did you know?" "Because when you talked about your adoptive father, your voice was very complicated. Also, you're so smart. No matter who tried to harm you, you should be able to guess who it was. Since you couldn't guess, then it must be someone you didn't expect." Sima Yue said, "You returned to your family as an illegitimate child and obstructed the interests of others. You must have been in a very difficult situation at the time. Your adoptive father had been with you for so long that you were caught off guard. Am I right?" Tao Yixian lowered his eyes and didn't deny her guess. Sima Yue felt some sympathy for him. No wonder when he talked about the past, his grief was greater than his anger. No one would be able to accept being betrayed by such a close relative. "Your adoptive father didn't contact anyone? If he did, I would be able to guess the person behind him. However, he spent most of his time with me and had very little time for himself. That's why I can't understand why he would betray me." Tao Yixian clenched his fists so tightly that his fingernails dug into his palms until they bled. Sima Yue sighed and stepped forward to hold his hands, prying his fingers apart. "Since he raised you up, your life can be considered as repaying his kindness of raising you. When you meet him again, you don't have to be merciful. Just give him the cruelest revenge," Sima Yue said slowly. Tao Yixian lowered his head to look at her fingers. Her white fingertips were stained with his blood and were very eye-catching. "You're right. I was raised by him. If it weren't for him, I wouldn't have been able to live until now. Just treat it as repaying his kindness for raising me." He quickly collected his emotions and his voice was so calm that it was hard to hear any emotions. Sima Yue didn't try to persuade him anymore. She stood up and said, "All right, let's talk about other things. What else do you want to know? The Tao family structure, how many factions they have, who are the representatives, who will benefit the most from your death. I think you know what to say, right?" Sima Yue said, "If we're talking about who will benefit the most from my death, it should be my father." "What?" Sima Yue was shocked for the first time. A bitter smile appeared on Tao Yixian's face. "My father didn't handle something well and brought quite a bit of loss to the family, so someone asked him to step down and let me take over as the family head." "You're not close to your father, are you?" Sima Yue guessed. He and his wife were childhood sweethearts and had a very deep relationship. She was also the one who asked to be with him for the rest of their lives. My father felt that my existence was a stain on the oath they made back then. When he brought me back, he was already forced by the situation, so how could he be close to me? Sima Yue expressed deep sympathy for him. His life was already very difficult, and he was even disliked by his father and pressured by his wife. It really was a bit pitiful. And I understand. Now let's talk about other things. All right. Aside from the main faction, the Tao family is split into 3 other factions. Does anyone from these 3 factions support you? Sima Yue pursed her lips. None of the factions supported him. Just how miserable was this guy's life before this? How on earth did he survive? In your situation, if you die, everyone will benefit. If you go back like this, it'll be hard for you to take the family head's position. Sima Yue poked at Tao Yixian's weak spot. Chapter 1613. Sima Yue felt a headache coming on. Could a person like this be able to take on such a huge responsibility? Actually, my situation isn't that bad. Tao Yixian said, "What trump cards do you have?" Sima Yue asked. 2 elders have hinted to me before and I have information on 2 of them. Also, the old ancestor supports me. Since you have people supporting you, why did you get yourself into this state? Sima Yue couldn't understand. The 2 elders who have expressed their goodwill to me are rather important in the clan. However, they don't have the guts or confidence to go against the others. Their thinking is that as long as I'm willing, they will follow me. However, when I don't have the power to go against the other 3 sects, they won't openly side with me. As for the 2 that I caught, I naturally hope that they're dead. Then what about your old ancestor? He's in closed-door cultivation. If it weren't for that, they wouldn't have dared to make a move against me. Tao Yixian said, by the time the old ancestor comes out, I'll already be dead. They won't receive any punishment. Then when will your old ancestor come out? The old ancestor said that he's not in closed-door cultivation this time. As long as I can go back and find him, he'll come out. That's why I'm guessing that the people in your clan will stop you from seeing the old ancestor. After I was poisoned and escaped, I sent people to find the old ancestor. Just as you said, they've sealed off the surroundings. The people I sent are all dead. As expected, Sima Yue sighed. It looks like your old ancestor is the key to this matter. As long as you can get him to come out, you'll be halfway done. Tao Yixian looked at her and reminded her, you seem to have forgotten the most important factor. If my poison can't be cured, then everything you do will be futile. As long as that poison master isn't dead, you won't die. Don't tell me you don't even know who made this poison? If that was the case, she would have to consider switching people. I do know that. He's the poison master in the clan and has a very strange temper. He's not close to any of the sections. However, he stays in the clan all day long, so it's not easy to see him. Sima Yue heaved a sigh of relief. As long as we know who it is, as long as he's still alive, I'll be able to get you the antidote. All right, let's talk about the Tao family's situation. He was just saying that she was the one who always led him astray. After figuring out the key problem, she just needed to listen to the rest of the information. However, the more she listened, the more shocked she became. Because these were almost exactly the same as what was recorded in the booklet she had read. What was Helmsman Tuo's identity? How could he get such information? Could it be? She suppressed the thoughts in her heart. Following her guess, she couldn't help but wonder what Helmsman Tuo's purpose was. She was afraid that she would come up with some horrible plan. She always believed that a stranger would not treat her well for no reason. After Tao Yixian finished speaking, he saw that Sima Yue only nodded and asked, "You don't have anything else to ask? I've already asked everything I wanted to know. What you're saying now, I won't be able to use it in a short while." Sima Yue said, "Take off your clothes." "What?" I said, "Take off your clothes." Sima Yue repeated. Tao Yixian grabbed the front of his clothes and looked at her warily. "What do you want to do?" Seeing him like this, Sima Yue felt like she was in a mess. It was as if she had returned to the time when she had just met Fatty Chu. That guy had also looked at her warily. However, she was still dressed as a man at that time and her reputation wasn't good. However, what was this guy trying to do now? She glared at Tao Yixian with a dark expression and said, "What are you thinking? Take off your clothes and I'll give you a needle to stop the poison from invading your organs." Cough cough. Tao Yixian knew that he had misunderstood and his face turned red. Why did she have to be so flirtatious for no reason? However, he still obediently took off his clothes. Sima Yue walked over with the needle and saw that his back was covered in red dots. She furrowed her brows. "It looks like your poison is deeper than I thought." Tao Yixian didn't say anything. He didn't know anything about poisons. He only heard her sigh behind his back before the needle pierced his body. When he saw how long the needle was, he thought that it would hurt a lot. He didn't think that it would only feel a little bloated. 2 hours later, Sima Yue put away the needle and said to him, "We have to go back as soon as possible. Your condition is worse than I thought. Even if we have to go back as soon as possible, you have to make arrangements first. It's best if you don't come with me in case I bring trouble to you." Tao Yixian said, "Let's talk about this later. We still have a few days anyway." Little Lucky hadn't returned yet, so they couldn't leave. Sima Yue's thoughts were actually very simple. Wasn't Tao Yixian unable to appear? Then he would just stay in the little realm. Once he was done with his business, she would let him out. However, she wouldn't say this method now. She still had to observe Tao Yixian for a while longer. "Right, what the hell is this Tang clan?" she asked. "HM?" Tao Yixian raised his head. What the hell did she mean? Them. What I'm saying is, what's going on with the Tang clan? Sima Yue explained. The Tang clan and Gua clan are both small powers that rely on our clan. However, the Tang clan is currently hunting me down while the Gua clan is protecting me. Tao Yixian said. Who controls Tang Jia? Tao Yixian shook his head. He really didn't know. He hadn't interacted much with powers like the Tang clan before and never thought that he would encounter a situation like this. Sima Yue understood with a single glance. Based on his usual situation, the Tao clan wouldn't let him interact too much with the powers below him. Then this Gua clan really isn't bad. She sighed. The Tang clan wasn't familiar with him and the Gua clan wasn't familiar with him either. However, they had protected him and almost lost their lives in order to protect him. You seem to be quite familiar with them. Did you know each other before? Not really. Sima Yue told him about her encounter with the Gua clan. Then you're not bad either. Tao Yixian smiled. I've always been pretty good. Sima Yue praised herself without blushing at all. Tao Yixian couldn't tell that she was such a narcissistic person. Right? You said you wanted me to help you find someone. Who are you looking for? What are his characteristics? Where was he before he disappeared? It's too early to tell you this now. Wait until you've reclaimed the position of young master. Sima Yue said in a low voice. But do you think that it's pointless to tell me before I have the strength? Tao Yixian asked in return. Sima Yue fell silent. That was indeed what she was thinking. The less people who knew about her master and the others, the less danger they would be in. If Tao Yixian didn't handle this matter well, he might leak the information later on and bring danger to her master and the others. Chapter 1614. When Tao Yixian saw her like this, he knew he had guessed correctly. However, before he could say anything, Sima Yue said, if you want to know about other people's affairs, you must have the ability to do so. Otherwise, you will give others hope in vain, only to disappoint them in the end. With that, she got up and left. Tao Yixian looked at her back and fell into deep thought. After Sima Yue left the tent, she saw Guinda interrogating the members of the Tang family. Hearing their voices, Tao Yixian also walked out. Guinda saw Tao Yixian come out and bowed to him, saying, Young master, I didn't think that Tang Fei would be such a tough nut to crack. We've asked him for so long and still haven't gotten any answers. I think it's probably because he's under a lot of pressure from the top, so he doesn't dare to say what he knows. Doing these things behind the family's back is either for money or money. However, if it was such a simple goal, you should have gotten the answer you wanted. Sima Yu looked at Tang Fei who was lying on the ground. He was already breathing out more than he was breathing in. You're saying there's another reason? Of course. Sima Yue said, if it were you, would you keep a secret for that person if it wasn't for the threat to your life? Guinda shook his head. I'll find a chance to commit suicide. Sima Yue felt that they were not on the same level. He was an honest man, wasn't he? That person must have tied a knot in her head. That's why she's still clenching her teeth and refusing to say anything. In any case, he's going to die whether he tells us or not. If we protect the people behind him, we'll naturally be able to protect his family as well. Tao Yixian said. Sima Yue gave him a "you're pretty smart" look. Then what should we do? Guixian had been interrogating Tang Fei for the past 2 days. No matter what he did, Tang Fei just clenched his teeth and refused to speak. It was about to obliterate his confidence. Tao Yixian walked over and squatted next to Tang Fei to examine him, saying, he's not poisoned. It looks like he wasn't controlled by poison. Then the most likely possibility is a seal was placed in his consciousness. If he dares to speak about that person, his body will explode and he will die. Doesn't that mean we won't be able to get any results? Guinda said. Tao Yixian was also a little disappointed. If he could ask Tang Fei about the person behind this, he would at least be able to get some clues. But in this way, he had no clues at all. Ha! At this moment, Tang Fei laughed. He laughed very proudly. You're right. The higher-ups did place a seal in my sea of consciousness. As long as I feel even the slightest bit about myself, I won't be able to survive. Don't even think about getting any information. Ha! You still want to take advantage of me? Guexien kicked him twice. Don't you want to die? I'll fulfill your wish. With that, he condensed his spiritual energy and attacked the heavenly gate. Sima Yue, who had been silent all this time, called out to him. Guexian's hand froze in midair in shock. Yue, what's wrong? You wouldn't be pleading for mercy for a dead person, right? Guexian looked at her disapprovingly. I don't have any relationship with him. Why would I plead for mercy? Sima Yue shrugged as she said. Then why are you stopping me? I want to tell you that even if you want to kill him, don't hit his head. Just hit his heart. If you break his head, he'll have nothing left. HM? What was the difference between hitting the head and the heart? However, since she was the one who asked for it, he might as well give her some face. He used his spiritual energy to form a long sword and pierced it towards Tang Fei's heart. Before Tang Fei died, he glanced at Sima Yue. He didn't know why, but this woman gave him a very dangerous feeling. Especially that slight smile on her lips. Even if he died, he wouldn't be able to die in peace. Yue, what are you keeping his head for? Guinda felt that Sima Yue wasn't someone who liked to play around. He definitely had his reasons for saying this. Sima Yue didn't answer him. She walked over and grabbed Tang Fei's body, sending her divine sense into his consciousness. His past flashed before her eyes like a movie. Once she got what she wanted to know, she threw the body to the ground. Then she conjured a flame and burned her hand for a while. Then she threw the flame onto the body, burning it to nothing. What are you doing? Didn't you see? Sima Yue said, although he's been sealed and can't say anything, he still has his memories. Since he's dead, the seal is naturally gone as well. Brain death is slower than physical death, so I took this opportunity to send my divine sense into his consciousness and find out what happened when he was alive. Why are you all looking at me like that? Ahem, how did you come up with this idea? Tao Yixian asked the question that was on everyone's mind. Speaking from experience. Sima Yue didn't want to say too much. Do you know someone called Tao Xianji? Is this person the one who ordered him? No. It's someone who went to the Tang clan a while ago. The person who ordered him was completely hidden in a black cloak and even changed his voice. That's why he doesn't know who it is. However, he guesses that it should be Tao Xianji. Sima Yue explained. Tao Xianji is father's man. Tao Yixian's voice was bitter. He was probably feeling even worse. Sima Yu gave him a "you're so pitiful." If this guess was true, then wouldn't it mean that the person who killed him was his father? This is just a guess. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's just a coincidence. Guinda didn't want to see him so disappointed and comforted him. I hope so. Although Tao Yixian said that, he didn't believe it in his heart. How could there be so many coincidences? Guinda turned his pleading gaze to Sima Yue. Sima Yue pursed her lips but didn't say anything. She only wanted to help him return to the clan. She didn't want to be some kind of caring older sister. After a while, Tao Yixian finally regained his composure and said to Sima Yue, I'll have to trouble you with the others as well. Sima Yue wanted to say that there was no need. Those people didn't know what was going on at all. However, she swallowed her words back down. This guy looked so pitiful. It was better to find something for him to do. She wasn't the one who killed him anyway. She was just putting on an act. She could also see if there was any useful information in those people's minds. However, even after killing everyone, she didn't get any useful information. It looked like the people Tang Fei had brought with him weren't important people. Or rather, there weren't many people who knew about the assassination attempt on Tao Yixian. This might even be an opportunity for him to return to the clan. If the entire clan did it with great fanfare, it would mean that he had been completely abandoned by the clan. From the looks of it now, his situation wasn't completely hopeless. Chapter 16:15. After that, Tao Yixin called Guinda and Guexan to his tent and told them about his deal with Sima Yue. Young master, are you really going to place your hopes in the hands of a little girl you just met? Guexan furrowed his brows, feeling that this method was inappropriate. Sima Yue wasn't even as powerful as him. Could she let young master return to the clan? Do you have a better idea? Tao Yixin asked. He really didn't. Don't think that Sima Yue is unreliable just because she's young. The way I see it, she's more reliable than the others. Tao Yixin said. Young master, you trust her that much? Yes, she's not very powerful. There are many people on this island who can crush her. However, when it comes to power, it's not just her cultivation. She has many helpers by her side. She'll definitely be able to surprise us. Tao Yixin said confidently. At the very least, they didn't have enough face to get this old monster of Rabbit Ear Mountain to let them go. They didn't have any ancient spirit beasts by their side to protect her either. If my guess isn't wrong, the person who brought them in back then was none other than our island master who's always idling around. Tao Yixin guessed. It was the island master? On this island, was there anyone who could steal the helmsman's boat without anyone noticing? He asked. Although the helmsman was fat and had big ears, his power was real. Trying to steal his boat, wasn't that just asking for death? However, he has a good relationship with the island master and they often drink together. I'm guessing that he must have gotten the helmsman drunk before he seized his boat and went out for a spin. Tao Yixin said, furthermore, isn't our island master's name Xiaogong? Helmsman Tu Xiaogong. These two names sound similar. However, isn't the island master called Tua Hongyu? Guexian said. That's the name he often uses. When he used to hide his identity and come out to play, he used the name Xiaogong. That's why many people know his name. Tao Yixin explained, if it was someone from the island, they would have guessed his identity long ago. However, outsiders don't know that he has the name Xiaogong. That's true. Guinda said, we all thought that it was a boatman with the surname Yun, but we didn't expect that it was young master who brought them here. This isn't about whether or not they're going to bring her over. It's just that the island master is clearly interested in them. Otherwise, he wouldn't have stepped forward to protect her. This was the real reason why Tao Yixin was willing to cooperate with Sima Yue. Since the island master had taken a fancy to her, he would definitely not let her be in danger and not care about her. This way, even if he didn't survive, the Guo family would have a hard time in the future. Perhaps he really could cure the poison. She was so confident that even he believed her. While they were talking about Sima Yue was also talking about Tao Yixin. Junior sister, are you really willing to make a deal with this little guy? Han Miao Shuang felt that the child looked too young and had no background. It would be easy for the family to kill him. Since I was the one who saved him, I think that he should be the opportunity that Yin Lin was talking about. As long as we help him return to the family and do a good job as the young master, then he'll be the master and teacher Ge that we're looking for. Sima Yue said. But the situation he's facing is so serious. Won't our relationship with him waste a lot of time? It won't. If Yin Lin said that the opportunity is here, then it won't be wrong. Sima Yue said confidently, also, I trust him. You trust him? He's able to make himself so miserable, which means that he doesn't have much power in the family. Even if he returns and becomes the patriarch, he probably won't have any real power. Han Miao Shuang analyzed. To be able to grow to his height in this kind of environment, it means that he has some brains and methods. This time, he was only harmed by his adoptive father. Otherwise, he wouldn't have ended up in such a state. If it were us, we might not be able to live until today. Sima Yue said, this kind of person, as long as he has the chance and time, he'll definitely be able to control the entire family. But what we lack now is time. Han Miao Shuang muttered softly. Don't worry, he won't disappoint us. Han Miao Shuang nodded. Sometimes she would feel strange. Why did little junior sister always give people the power to believe her? It was as if everything that happened to her wasn't a problem at all. If the same thing was said by someone else, she might not believe it. But when it came from her, she felt that it was definitely true. What do you plan to do next? Sima Xiuqi asked. His granddaughter was too opinionated. She made these old bones useless. Sigh, why weren't the others in the family like her? If this was the case, even without the things she brought back, the family would be able to rise quickly. It's actually very simple. Although there are people chasing after him, as long as he doesn't appear, we won't be in too much danger. Sima Yue said, it won't be too late for him to come out after we've settled things in Phoenix City. That's true. We didn't know the Guo family before. They won't think that we're in contact with him. Feng Zhixing said, are you planning to put him in the little realm? Wouldn't that be too dangerous? If he knows about the little realm, what if he has evil thoughts? Su Xiaoxiao was worried. If he sees the people inside, he won't dare to have those thoughts. But Aunt Xiang and the others are enough to kill him. If we compare the power behind them, would the Tao family dare to compare with the Feng people? Sima Yue wasn't worried at all. If that was really the case, so what if they destroyed them? However, if we want to get in touch with the Tao family, we need a plan. We can't just act according to the situation. Sima Lu Xian said. I've already thought about it. Sima Yue said, when the time comes, we'll do this. After listening to Sima Yue's plan, the others looked at her disapprovingly. Although the beauty trap is good, that person is so powerful. If you don't have time to open the little realm, what if you're in danger? Huang Yingying disagreed. Her precious granddaughter, even if those scum touched her, she couldn't let them. If you don't go to the little realm, go to the spirit pagoda. That way, I can come out with just a thought. Sima Yue said. Although she didn't want to agree, it seemed like there was no better way to enter the Tao family. No matter who they were trying to get close to, it was impossible for them to be invited as guests so quickly. So, there was nothing faster and more convenient than being forcefully taken to the Tao family. A few days later, the woman sent Xiaoxi back. This made Sima Yue's heart, which had been hanging in the air for the past few days, finally settle down. What she didn't expect was that Xiaoxi was reluctant to part with the female lead. He told her to come and see him in the future as she left. It seemed like he was doing well these few days. She had been worried for nothing. Chapter 1616. Sima Yue lifted it by its tail and turned it upside down, making eye contact with it. If you're so reluctant, why don't you continue to stay here? We'll leave first. She snorted. Little Lucky immediately put away the reluctance in his eyes and put on a fawning expression. He beamed and said, what are you saying? Of course I'll follow you. I'm the one who can't bear to part with you. Fortunately, after such a long time, he finally stopped calling her mother. Sima Yue could not help but facepalm when she saw how obedient it was. How big was Little Roar's influence? Why were they all affected by it? Seeing that she didn't say anything, Little Lucky wagged his tail and hugged her hand. He rubbed himself against her hand and stared at her with his big eyes. Sima Yue gritted her teeth and spat out, "It's shameful to act cute." Hee. Little she didn't care if it was shameful or not. As long as Yu wasn't angry, it was better than anything else. Sima Yue was not really angry in the first place. Seeing him like this, she stretched out her hand and poked his forehead, saying, "In the future, don't learn these crooked ways from Little Roar." That's right, wasn't this move taught by Little Roar? Actually, what she didn't know was that Little Roar would teach this move to every new member. In his words, it was, this woman, when she gets angry, she's very scary. But as long as you learn this move, you'll succeed every time." Who told her to be a little girl? If she knew about this, she would definitely stuff it into a crack in the ground and find something to suppress it for 100 years before letting it out. Hee. It was rare to see Sima Yue acting like a little girl. Everyone smiled knowingly. Cough, cough. Sima Yue reacted and threw Little Lucky onto her shoulders. She said to everyone, "Now that Little Lucky is back, let's leave this place." At this time, Guinda walked out and cupped his hands towards them, saying, "Miss Yue, we are very grateful that you are willing to help young master. We are also very willing to work hard for you. But we can't go back yet. Look, can you guys leave first? We'll look for you later." Is there anything else? Guinda smiled wryly and said, to tell you the truth, we came here this time to find 2,000-year-old medicinal ingredients. What medicinal herbs are you looking for? He didn't say anything specific. He only said that we have to hand over 2 types of medicinal herbs that are over 1,000 years old. Only then did we have the courage to enter this deep mountain. Guinda said. Sima Yue turned her head to look at Tao Yixian. He nodded. This was indeed the tax this year. If we don't hand it in, then I'm afraid our Gua clan will. So no matter what, we have to find 2 ingredients this time. Guinda said. You guys haven't found it yet, right? Sima Yue said. She knew that she had guessed correctly when she saw the Gua family's reaction. However, she couldn't leave them here, because she needed the Gua family to complete the rest of the plan. Should she give them 2 herbs that were more than 1,000 years old? Just say that he picked it up on the road? However, these people were also experts. If it was just unearthed, they would definitely be able to tell. Just as she was in a dilemma, Little Lucky reached his hand under his belly. Before Sima Yue could see where he was reaching, he pulled out 2 medicinal herbs and threw them towards Guinda, 1,000-year-old medicinal herbs. The Gua family recognized them at a glance. Little Lucky, where did you get these? Sima Yue asked. I got them from Auntie's place. She has a lot of these around her cave, so I pulled out a few to play with. Little Lucky replied, then said to Guinda and the others, I'll give these 2 to you guys. Hurry up and come with us. Thank you, thank you. The Gua family members cupped their hands in gratitude. If they stayed in the mountain to continue searching, who knows when they would meet with danger. Since the problem has been solved, then let's leave the mountain. Sima Yue said. Let's go. Tao Yixian spoke up as well. We'll just leave. If you follow us down the mountain, wouldn't that be telling everyone that we have something to do with you? Sima Yue said. But it's not good to let young master stay in the mountains alone, right? Guinda said with some difficulty. Sima Yue took out a little door and opened up her little realm, saying, although my little realm is small, you can still live in it for a while. Once I've settled things, I'll let you out. Little realms weren't rare on this island, so they weren't too surprised. At most, they didn't think that someone like her would have such a thing. Tao Yixian understood what she was thinking and nodded, entering the little realm alone. He had thought that it was really a small little realm like Sima Yue had said, but he didn't think that what he saw after entering was a vast and boundless world. Furthermore, there was actually a city in this little realm. He was a little shocked. At this moment, someone came over and bowed to him, saying that he was the temporary manager of Blood Fiend City and had received orders from Sima Yue to take care of him during this period of time. Blood Fiend City? That's right, this is Blood Fiend City. The manager brought him into the city, and because there weren't any inns here, he brought him to his own courtyard. As he walked, he explained the situation here to him. You're saying that the people here used to be from Blood Fiend City? Tao Yixian asked in shock. Back then, news of what happened in Blood Fiend City had spread to the island. After all, she was such a special existence. For her to disappear just like that was quite shocking. He didn't think that she was the one who did that and even brought the people from Blood Fiend City here. The manager saw that he was interested and told him about what happened in Blood Fiend City back then with Sima Yue. The manager's eloquence wasn't bad, and he described what happened back then vividly. Tao Yixian could almost feel the dangerous situation back then and the majestic scene after Sima Yue had summoned the lightning tribulation. Other than that, what surprised him was that Sima Yue was actually able to attract the heavenly tribulation. If she attracted the heavenly tribulation while fighting with someone, wouldn't that mean that the other party would have to go through the tribulation as well? Thus, the manager told him about what happened in the dark forest, and the shock in Tao Yixian's heart grew even stronger. She was actually able to kill hundreds of monarch-leveled cultivators as a divine-leveled cultivator. This wasn't a simple feat of winning against a large number of opponents or fighting against those of a higher rank. Don't look down on Lady Yue just because she's young. She's very capable. She said that she would help you take back the position of young master, so there's definitely no problem. After so many years, we've never seen anything that she couldn't do. The manager said with a chuckle, "It's also because she's kind-hearted that she allowed us to stay here. Otherwise, we wouldn't have the peaceful days we have now." When they arrived at the manager's courtyard, the manager pointed to the courtyard to the side and said, "If you don't have anything to do, don't go to the side, all right? It won't be good if you disturb the people inside." Chapter 16-17. Tao Yi Xian glanced over. It was a very ordinary courtyard. There was nothing special about it. First message of love. Are the people who live there powerful as well? He asked. They are the Feng people's people, the supervisor replied. Do you know the Feng people? Tao Yi Xian's surprise had already turned into shock. She was related to the Feng people? Others might not know about the Feng people, but the people from the Lost Lands definitely knew about them. That was the only remaining god race. Although the island master was also a descendant of the god race, there were very few people in the Tuo family. The others were merely supporters of the god race. Therefore, the only true descendants of the god race were the Feng people. If the Feng people were willing to come here, the Tuo family wouldn't have the chance to be the island owner. Why are the people of Feng people here? It's like this. Yue has a good relationship with the lord of the Feng people. Yue recognized her as her aunt. What about Feng Ruyen? Let these people protect her. Tao Yi Xian's mouth twitched. People from the Feng people were going to be her bodyguards? He thought that she was just an ordinary outsider. He didn't expect her to have such a powerful background. The steward rambled on for a long time, and only left after settling him down. When he was alone, Tao Yi Xian laid on the bed and began to think about his relationship with Sima Yue. It seemed that some things needed to be changed. However, he couldn't help but smile. The more powerful she was, the better it would be for him, right? Sima Yue did not pay attention to Tao Yi Xian's situation in the little world. The group of them left Rabbit Ear Mountain and returned to the Gu family. In order to keep it a secret, Sima Yue asked Guinda to keep it a secret. Even the other members of the Gu family only said that they encountered a spiritual beast on Rabbit Ear Mountain and were saved by Sima Yue at the critical moment. When the Gu family heard this, they knew that this was their savior, so they were treated very well in the Gu family. It had to be said that the Gu clan was full of honest people. Such a clan had actually not been eaten clean by others. Sure enough, it was as the saying goes, the shade under a big tree is the best. No wonder they were so loyal to the Gu family. After staying for a few days, Sima Yu followed Guinda and Guexien on their journey and flew directly to Phoenix City. Because teleportation arrays were not encouraged here, there were not many teleportation arrays. Yue and the others had to queue for a long time to use the teleportation array. Moreover, the people on this island didn't seem to like to take other people's teleportation portals. The Gu family always took flying beasts or their own teleportation portals. Sima Yue followed Guinda and Guexan on their journey while the rest were placed into the spirit pagoda. Guinda thought that they had gone to the little realm, so he didn't ask much. Sima Yue saw that they were not using the teleportation portal and was happy to travel with them. She could enjoy the scenery of the island. Uncle Gu, won't we run into danger if we walk like this? For example, robbery, murder, and robbery. She asked curiously. With just the three of them, anyone who saw them would want to do something to them, right? They won't. This place is under the protection of the Tao clan. As long as I say that we are going to pay tribute, no one will dare to touch us. If someone wants to kill us, no matter if they are under the Tao clan or not, they will be hunted down. Guinda said, killing us is a small matter, but the Tao clan's reputation will be affected. I see. The Tao clan usually wouldn't care about the lives of these people, but once their reputation was affected, they wouldn't rest until they were dead. So even if the two clans were at each other's throats, the Tao clan wouldn't care. But once they said that they were going to pay tribute, wouldn't it be related to the Tao clan? No wonder the two of them dared to travel like this. Then what will you do when you come back? This time, we will be going to pay tribute for a period of time. Our clansmen will also go after a while. We'll just meet up with them then. If we go together now, the cost of accommodation will be a big problem. Guinda said a little embarrassedly. Sima Yue was startled. She knew that the Gua clan's situation wasn't good, but she didn't think that they would be in such dire straits that even the cost of accommodation would be a problem. However, when Tao Yixian ascended the throne, the Gua clan's days wouldn't be too bad just because they had risked their lives to protect them at Rabbit Ear Mountain. Just as they said, if anyone had any ideas about them, Guinda would say that they were going to pay tribute to the Tao clan. Those people really didn't do anything and let them pass smoothly. Half a month later, they arrived at Phoenix City. Sima Yue didn't think that it would be so close. No wonder they didn't want to use the array. Of course, she wouldn't expose the fact that they didn't use the teleportation array to save money. Although the Lost Lands isn't big, the relationship between the four cities isn't very good. In order to prevent other places from sending people over to cause trouble, they will be strictly checked. But we won't. When the time comes, just follow us, Guinda said to Sima Yue. All right. When they reached the city gates, she followed Guinda closely, but was still stopped. Ogua, who is this person? The guard had a good relationship with Guinda, but he still stopped them. This is a friend I've met outside, Guinda said with a smile. You know that I've been outside before and got to know her. She's come in this time because she has some business. Someone from the outside? The guard furrowed his brows slightly. Old Gua, you don't know, but the situation has been tense recently. People from the Crimson Pearl Convention are not allowed to enter Phoenix City. But Guinda asked curiously. I don't know, it's orders from above. The guard also thought it was strange, but this wasn't something he could investigate. If it's just the Crimson Pearl Convention, don't worry. She's here to find me because she wants to find a medicinal ingredient that only we have here. She's not here to participate in the Crimson Pearl Convention, Guinda explained. Really? The guard didn't believe him. It's true. Big brother, you haven't seen anyone participate in the Crimson Pearl Convention alone, right? Sima Yue laughed. The guard thought about it and agreed. Who didn't come in groups? There really wasn't a single person who came to participate in the Crimson Pearl Convention. He waved his hand at them and said, Old Gua, we can still trust your Gua clan people. Let's go in. All right, thank you for your trust. When we get back, we'll go to the tavern in the east of the city and have a good drink, Guinda said. All right, that's a promise. No problem. Just like that, Guinda easily brought her through the gates of Phoenix City. Only when that big incident happened in the future did the guard realize how big of a mistake he had made back then. Luckily, by then, no one had noticed that he was on duty that day. They entered the city gates and went to the place where they used to live. It was a very small inn, but it looked very clean. The Gua clan was really a bit pitiful. Stop show 7. Chapter 16-18. After entering Phoenix City, Sima Yue's plan was slowly being implemented. The next morning, she, Guinda and Guaxian went to a very spectacular pavilion in the center of the city. As soon as he entered, he realized that this was not a shop for business. Although there were a lot of things here, there was only one person guarding inside. There was not a single customer. When the person inside saw Guinda, he said faintly, I thought your Gua family wouldn't come this year. How could that be? The clan's offerings still have to be handed over on time. Guinda smiled and took out the 2 medicinal ingredients, saying, These are our offerings this year. That person didn't think that Guinda would really take out something. He opened the box and saw that there were indeed 2 medicinal herbs that were over 1,000 years old. He said with some surprise, Didn't you say that you didn't get anything good this year? Where did these come from? Some time ago, we went to Rabbit Ear Mountain and went deep into the mountains. He was lucky enough to get these 2 items. However, they had also lost quite a few people. Guinda let out a long sigh. He wasn't lying. A few people did die at that time, but they didn't die because they were looking for herbs. They were killed by the Tang family. The steward didn't make things difficult for them. After registering their items, the offering was complete. All right, you can leave now. Don't forget to attend the clan meeting in 10 days. The steward waved his hand at them, not wanting to waste any more time. Guinda cupped his fists at him, turned around and left with Sima Yuyu. Just as they reached the door, a cold voice came from behind them. "Oh right, I heard that Tang Fei also brought some people to Rabbit Ear Mountain. Did you guys meet him?" "Tang Fei went too? I've never met one before," Guinda said in surprise. The steward glanced at him, lowered his head, and didn't say anything else. They also left the place. When they arrived at the main street, it was already past noon. Guinda said to Guexian, "This is Yoyue's first time here. Take her to walk around the city and see if there are any herbs that she needs. Then go back directly. I'm going to look for them to catch up and have a drink." "All right." After Guinda left, Sima Yue smiled at Guexen and said, "Big brother Gue, I'll have to trouble you." "What's so troublesome about that? Let's go. I'll take you to the pharmacy to have a look," Guexian said. Sima Yue followed Guexian and left. After turning 2 streets, they arrived at a medicine shop. She mentioned a kind of medicinal herb called silver watergrass. She had specially asked Guinda about it. It was a very rare medicinal herb that could only be found on the Lost Island. Especially when she said that she wanted a 200-year-old one, it was even rarer. The shopkeeper directly told her that there was none here and told them to go somewhere else. They had no choice but to go to other pharmacies. However, even if there were silver watergrass at the back, their maturity wasn't high enough. After walking around for an entire afternoon, Zhang Xian didn't manage to find anything. When they returned to the inn, Guexian said to Yue, "Someone was watching us when we were shopping today. I just don't know if he's the one we're looking for." Sima Yue felt like she was being watched the whole afternoon. "What if he's not?" "Of course we won't go." Sima Yue smiled. "Other than that person, no one else can think of leaving with them." "All right then. Have a good rest. We'll continue shopping tomorrow. There are still many pharmacies in Phoenix City," Guexian said. "Today we went to random pharmacies. Tomorrow we'll go to the one under the Tao family," Sima Yue said. This was the only way to catch the bait faster. Guinda did not return that night. Guexian said that he would do this every time, so he did not bother about him. The next morning, they continued their journey to the pharmacy to ask about the medicinal herbs. They went to the biggest pharmacy. Although it was still early, it was already packed with people. Sima Yue felt that someone was looking at her the moment she entered. However, she did not care. Instead, she went to the counter and asked a shop assistant, "Excuse me, do you have silver watergrass that is more than 200 years old?" "Silver watergrass that is more than 200 years old? I think we do," the shop assistant said. "Really?" Sima Yue was excited. "Then I'll buy it." "Dear customer, don't be anxious. This medicinal herb is a little rare. I'll have to look at the records," the shop assistant said. "All right. Please wait here for a moment," the shop assistant said and flipped through the records. Sima Yue and the rest waited for a while. The shop assistant came over and said, "Dear customer, you're in luck. We only have one left. Let me tell you, if we don't have it here, then it's impossible for other places to have it. Therefore, this might be the last 200 years silver watergrass." "Then I'm in luck." Sima Yue smiled. "Because it's 200 years old, the price is a little high. The price is not a problem, as long as you have the medicinal herb," Sima Yue said generously. "Dear customer, please wait for a moment. After all, the important medicinal herbs are placed at the back. I'll go get it for you." "All right. Sorry to trouble you." The shop assistant went to the back. Just as he entered, he was stopped by someone. "Second master wants you to go over," the person said. The shop assistant was stunned. He immediately followed the person and went to a room on the second floor. "Greetings, second master." The guard knelt down and bowed. "The woman you served just now. What did she want?" Second master asked. "Second master, she wanted a 200 years old silver watergrass," the shop assistant replied. "Do you have it in the shop?" "There's only one left." Get someone to send it over," second master ordered. The shop assistant was stunned. However, he quickly reacted. Thinking of second master's lecherous personality, he lowered his eyes and replied, I know what to do. Sima Yuyue waited in the shop for a while before the shop assistant came out with a guilty expression. I'm really sorry. I just went to the back to take a look. The last silver watergrass was moved over by the family this morning. You mean there's no more? Yes. If you came yesterday, there would still be some left. However, there's none left now. I'm really sorry. The shop assistant said apologetically. Her excited little face immediately fell. Seeing the shop assistant nodding and bowing to her apologetically, she waved her hand at him and said, It's not your fault. Since you don't have it here, I'll go somewhere else to take a look. I just said that this silver watergrass is too rare. If we don't have it here, the other pharmacies won't have it either. The shop assistant said. I know. However, I still want to try my luck. After speaking, she turned around and left. Her little face was filled with disappointment. When she reached the main street, she said to Guexen, Brother Gua, I know you're worried about Uncle Gua. You should go and find him. I'll walk around by myself. Guexen was indeed worried about Guinda. Since she said so, he didn't decline and left by himself. Sima Yuyu was walking alone on the street. She could feel someone following behind her and the corner of her mouth hooked up into a smile. Chapter 1619. Half an hour later, Sima Yue took a step back in fear when she saw the person standing in front of her. Who are you? Miss, my family's second master would like to see you. The man pulled a long face, looking very scary. Who is your second master? I don't know him. I'm not going. Sima Yue said and walked around him, wanting to leave the alley. That man's body swayed and blocked her path again, saying, Miss, my family's second master said that he has silver watergrass in his hands. 10 minutes later, Sima Yue stood in front of second master Tao. This second master Tao looked decent, but his eyes that were sizing her up made her very uncomfortable. Sima Yue was embarrassed by his stare and asked, Do you have a 200-year-old silver water plant? Her slender waist caused his waiter to raise his head, especially that pair of pure eyes. She must have been well protected by her family in the past. From top to bottom, from beginning to end, every part was his cup of tea. What's your name? He asked instead of answering. My name is Sima Yue, Sima Yue replied. Are you an outsider? Sima Yue nodded. Why did you come here? Are you participating in the Crimson Pearl Convention? No, that's not it. What? My father was severely injured by someone. The doctor's prescription contains a very important medicinal ingredient, the silver watergrass that is more than 200 years old. I heard that it can only be found in the lost place, so I secretly came here. Sima Yue answered honestly. Why do you have to do it secretly? Because my mother said that the Lost Lands is very dangerous, and once you come here, you can't go back. He said that he would send someone else. I was worried about my father, so I came here secretly. So you're saying that your family doesn't know that you're here? Sima Yue shook her head. Second Master Tao's fingers tapped on the table. Sima Yue felt that his actions were very eye-catching. Ling Yu loved to do this action the most. He looked good when he did it, but this person's hand was really ugly and the action was also ugly. You've been looking for medicinal ingredients since you came here? He continued to ask. Then I met Uncle Gua. Of me. He heard. And there were some yesterday, but not today. You have a good relationship with the Gua clan? Second Master Tao asked slowly. They. But although I'm grateful to them, I'm not close with them. Sima Yue said. I've already answered so many of your questions. Do you really have the silver watergrass? Second Master Tao looked at Sima Yue's innocent eyes and his lips curled into a smile. She wanted to guard against others, but she told her trump card to a stranger so easily. This person was so innocent in the past. I do have the silver watergrass that you want. Really? Then are you willing to give it to me? I'm willing to buy it at a high price. Sima Yue said happily. Second Master Tao stared at her and said, "Do you know who I am?" Sima Yue shook her head. Even if she knew, she wouldn't say it. "I'm the second master of the Tao family." Sima Yue blinked. Her eyes were clearly saying, "Is this identity very powerful?" "The head of the Tao family is my second brother," Second Master Tao said. "Wah, then aren't you very powerful?" Sima Yue finally reacted. "Second Master Tao, since you have such a high status, then you definitely don't care about this little bit of medicinal herbs, right? I'm really willing to buy it at a high price. I have a lot of spirit stones." Seeing her careful appearance, Second Master Tao was very pleased. He smiled and said, "Do you think I lack spirit stones?" Sima Yue was troubled. "You really shouldn't lack spirit stones. Why don't you give me that medicinal herb? I'll definitely remember your great kindness." "No, I never give things away. At most, I'll exchange." "Exchange?" Sima Yue was stunned. "Second Master Tao, you have a high status. I'm afraid that the things I have here won't catch your eye." As she spoke, she took out some medicinal herbs and rare ores and looked at him eagerly. "These are my most precious things. Take a look. Which one can exchange with you?" Second Master Tao casually glanced at the things she took out and frowned slightly. "These things really don't have much value." Sima Yue's face was instantly filled with disappointment. "As expected, but it's not like you don't have anything to exchange," Second Master Tao said. "Really? I wonder what Second Master Tao likes?" Her little face immediately brightened up as she looked at him with a smile. Second Master Tao didn't say anything and only looked straight at her. Sima Yue's smile slowly froze. She took a step back and said, Why are you looking at me like that?" "Little girl, you should be a smart person." Second Master Tao had already asked about her family background. She was just a little girl that no one knew. Wouldn't he be able to do whatever he wanted to her? "You want one?" Sima Yue was shocked. She took a few steps back and arrived at the door. "What do you think of this exchange? If you follow me, I'll give you the silver watergrass and a lifetime of wealth. How about it?" As he spoke, he took out a box and placed it in front of her. He opened it and let the box face her. Sima Yue saw the medicine lying inside and a look of struggle flashed across her eyes. "As long as you agree, this silver watergrass is yours. I can even send a doctor to treat your father. Your family can also be under the wings of my Tao family." Second Master Tao said slowly, his voice filled with bewitchment. Sima Yue's brows were tightly knitted. She wanted to save her father, but she didn't want to agree to his conditions. Second Master Tao didn't say anything else and only looked at her struggle with interest. After a while, Sima Yue finally opened her mouth. "I'm sorry, I can't agree to this condition of yours." But Second Master Tao wasn't surprised. "Don't you want to save your father? Could it be that you don't want the silver watergrass?" "I do, but I still can't agree to it. If my father knew that this medicine was obtained from here, he wouldn't be able to take it." Sima Yue said, "Second Master Tao, can you give me another condition? Then I can only look for it in other places." Sima Yue finished speaking and prepared to leave. However, when she opened the door, she saw two guards standing at the door, staring at her emotionlessly. Chapter 1620. Sima Yue tried to push them, but she couldn't. "Out of the way," she said, glaring at them. Without my orders, they won't move." Second Master Tao's laughter came from behind. Sima Yue turned around and looked at him. "What do you want?" "My meaning is very clear and very simple." Second Master Tao shrugged. "I don't want the silver watergrass anymore. Let me go." Sima Yue panicked. "Do you think you can still leave now that you're here? This is a tea house. As long as I shout, it will attract the attention of others, and your reputation will be ruined. After all, the Tao family is not the only family in Phoenix City." Sima Yue shouted. "Oh, are you threatening me?" Second Master Tao laughed loudly. "Reputation? Do you know what kind of reputation Second Master Tao has in Phoenix City? If you want to shout, you can shout. In any case, who in the entire Phoenix City doesn't know what kind of person I am? Even if I snatch you back, they will only add another stroke to my reputation. You. Sima Yue was obviously shocked by his words. Alright, I still have things to do today. I don't have time to play with you. Today, whether you agree or not, you have to agree. Second Master Tao changed to threats. Don't even think about it. Sima Yue said as she attacked the guards at the door. She was quickly subdued. Seeing Second Master Tao walk over, she angrily shouted, I won't let you have your way. After saying that, she mobilized the spiritual energy in her body and prepared to self-destruct. Don't even think about it. Second Master Tao didn't expect her temper to be so fierce. With a loud shout, he flashed behind her and forcefully chopped at her neck. Sima Yue went limp. Before she fainted, Sima Yue heard his last words. He said that she was a fierce little wild cat and that he would definitely tame her. The red plum blossom in her hand darkened, but in the end, it fell silent. Second Master. The people at the door did not think that Sima Yue would self-destruct. By the time they reacted, she was already in his arms. Let's return to the clan first and settle her down. Second Master Tao hugged the person in his arms. He was in a good mood and decided to personally bring the beauty back. Stupid woman, stupid woman. Sima Yue felt someone shaking her. She slowly woke up and saw a miniature version of herself when she opened her eyes. Mier? Why did you come out? She rubbed her neck. It really hurt. Didn't you say that I would wake you up when we reached the Tao family? Mier squatted on the edge of the bed and poked her stomach. I can't remember. Sima Yue recalled that she was the one who gave the order. Stupid woman, you've gone too far. Why did you stop me? Mier said angrily, do you know that if something really happens, I'll die with you? I'm here on official business. If you do something, how am I supposed to do it? Sima Yue sat up and looked at the face that was similar to hers. She stretched out a hand and rubbed his hair. Don't worry, I won't joke around with my life. I know you're worried about me. She had so many lives on her body. How could she die so easily? Who's worried about you? Mier jumped down from the bed. What are we going to do next? It's me, not us. Sima Yue looked at Mier deeply. That gaze made his heart tremble as he asked, what bad things are you thinking of now? What bad things? Sima Yue said, I just have something for you to do. I refuse. One look and I can tell that you're up to no good. I'm not. Sima Yue beamed, I just want you to do me a favor. What? It's very simple. Pretend to be me and stay here. You don't have to do anything else. Don't even think about it. Mier jumped up. Don't expect me to deal with that disgusting fellow for you. But I need to go and investigate. I can only rely on you here. I don't want to. Go look for 1,000 resonance. He can pretend to be you too. Mier refused to agree. If that person came back in the middle, wouldn't he have to pretend to be obedient to her? 1,000 resonance wants to be with me. He can't stay here. Sima Yue said, don't worry. I'll set up an illusion array later. As long as he comes in, he will enter the illusion. Isn't that it? Use the illusion array to deal with him. But this illusion array can't be without you. If not, it won't work. Sima Yue explained patiently, if the person in the illusion array wants to say something, you have to say it. And when they're outside, if they don't sense my presence, they won't be tricked. Mier, if you don't help me with this, it'll be more troublesome for me. You really won't meet me? Mier's gaze was filled with suspicion. He really felt that this woman would sell him out. Really? Do you want me to swear to the heavens? Sima Yue stared at him helplessly. She wondered why she had such little trust in him. If he dares to touch me, I'll kill him. Mier said, filled with killing intent. However, it was also an indirect agreement. Alright, it's up to you. Sima Yue said, but don't worry. According to what Tao Yixian said, Second Master Tao doesn't like to force himself on you. So as long as you don't agree, he won't do anything to you. That better be the case. Mier harumphed. If I stay here, what are you going to do? I'm going to find the poison master that Tao Yi-Xian mentioned and find the antidote. Sima Yue said, however, I need to find someone to scout ahead first. Come back soon. I'll only help you for 2 days. If you can't handle it, I won't care. 2 days is too short. Then 1 day it is. You can't do this. You better hurry. Sima Yue sighed. She set up an illusion array in the house and watched as transformed into her. She called out for 1,000 resonance to fuse with him. She then opened the door and swaggered out. Once she disappeared from the courtyard, the guard guarding the door then muttered, "Why did I feel like I was a little distracted just now? What about you? How could that be? Haven't we always been like this?" The others said, "The girl that second master brought back this time is very decent. It's a pity that she won't live for long." Shut up. Is second master someone that we dare to talk about? Be careful that second master doesn't feed you to the wolves. That person was clearly frightened as he nodded without saying a word. They glanced into the house and sensed that Sima Yue was still inside. They all sighed in their hearts. It was a pity that second master Tao had seen her. They were afraid that her future days would be difficult. However, second master wasn't someone that they could go against. They could only say that she was another pitiful woman. Chapter 1621. Love. After Sima Yue left the courtyard, she transformed into a maidservant and carried a plate of spirit fruits. She followed the path that Tao Yi-Xian had told her and headed towards the poison master. Along the way, they met several patrols. When those patrols saw the spirit fruits in her hands, they felt thirsty and reached out to take the spirit fruits. She took a step back and bowed towards them. She smiled and said, "Big brothers, this spirit fruit was ordered by the patriarch for this servant to deliver to Great Master Ji." The guard's hand froze in midair. Who doesn't know that Great Master Ji likes to eat spirit fruits? Who would dare to touch his things? He was afraid that even if he had the life to take it, he wouldn't have the life to eat it. Since it's for Great Master Ji, then go quickly. The head guard waved his hand at her without any suspicion. "Thank you, brothers." Sima Yue bowed again and left with the spirit fruit. Sima Yue walked for half a day before arriving at a very remote courtyard. She thought about how Tao Yi-Xian had said that Great Master Ji was a loner and didn't like to interact with others. Even if that was the case, there was no need for him to live so far away, right? She knocked on the door of the courtyard and said, "Great Master Ji, this servant is here to deliver the spirit fruit under the orders of the family head." After waiting for a while, the door to the courtyard opened. A small child stood behind the door and looked at her coldly. "Master said that today's spirit fruits are here. Why are they here again?" The child's voice was still childish, but his tone was not friendly. "It's like this. These spirit fruits were consecrated by the subordinates. They said that they were found deep in the mountains. The family head thought that Great Master Ji had never eaten it before, so he asked the servant to send some over. If Great Master Ji thinks it's delicious, I'll get them to bring more over." Sima Yue made up a story. "Then give it to me," the child said as he reached out to take it. Sima Yue handed the water to him and said, "The family head said that he has a few words for this servant to tell Great Master Ji. Come with me then." The child turned around and Sima Yue closed the door after entering the room. At this moment, Great Master Ji was studying the poisonous grass. He couldn't find the purest essence after mentioning it a few times. He was feeling frustrated. At this time, his little disciple came in with a maidservant. "What's the matter?" he asked with a sullen expression. "Great Master Ji." Sima Yue bowed to her. Today, the servants below offered some fresh spiritual fruits. Master ordered this servant to bring some over for you to try. He said that if you like it, they can offer you more in the future. Great Master Ji looked at the tray his little disciple had placed on the table. There were indeed 2 types of spirit fruits that he had never seen before. One was emerald green while the other was rosy. They both looked tender and sweet. However, he was currently in an irritable mood, so how could he be in the mood to eat fruits? He said impatiently, This old man is not in the mood to eat right now. I'll tell you after I've tasted it. You can leave now. Sima Yue was not willing to leave. She lowered her head and said, Great Master Ji, Patriarch said that he is waiting for your news. Great Master Ji, please understand family head's feelings. Great Master Ji knew that every time Patriarch sent a new fruit over, he would tell him the results. If it was delicious, he would try his best to find it. He picked up a red spiritual fruit. This spiritual fruit was small and rosy. It looked a little like a cherry, but it smelled more fragrant than a cherry. He put it in his mouth and the fruit melted in his mouth. The mellow taste spread from his mouth to his heart. Once he started eating, he couldn't stop. He only stopped when he had finished all the red fruits. What fruit is this? He asked. This is called the heartless fruit. Sima Yue replied. Heartless fruit? Yes, it has another name. It's called the life-reaping fruit. Where is there a spiritual fruit with this name? He did not know why, but when he heard this name, his heart suddenly tightened. Of course there is. Because this is the name I gave it. Sima Yue smiled. Great Master Ji felt that something was amiss. He wanted to say something but suddenly felt a pain in his chest. Something was wrong with his body. He went forward to grab Sima Yue, but the latter teleported and appeared on the other side of the room. Who are you? How could a servant in the family have such skills? How would she dare to do such a thing to him? Sima Yue bowed and said, I'm just a small servant in the residence. I didn't know that there was a servant like you in the residence. Great Master Ji said and attacked Sima Yue, but she dodged again. Great Master Ji, if I were you, I wouldn't be angry right now and wouldn't use my spiritual energy. Sima Yue reminded him. Great Master Ji stared at her coldly, like a venomous snake looking at a prey that was destined to die. A prey that made him angry. He felt a wave of weakness in his body and sat on the chair for a while before he felt better. He was all too familiar with this feeling. You poisoned me. How did you do it? He calmed down. Since the other party did not poison him and stayed here, it was obvious that she had something to tell him. He never thought that there would be a day when he would be pecked in the eye. You ate it yourself? Sima Yue said with a smile. I ate it? Why didn't I sense the smell of poison? He did not believe it. He was a master of poisons and poisons could not hide from him, much less eat it. Those so-called colorless and tasteless poisons were the same. Sima Yue moved a chair to her side and sat down, saying, I didn't say that this poison was colorless and tasteless. What? I used some methods to make this poison taste like the heartless fruit. Great Master Ji was stunned. She made it taste like the heartless fruit. It was his first time eating this kind of spiritual fruit and he thought that it tasted like a spiritual fruit. He never thought that there would be poison in it. The poison was on the outside of the spiritual fruit and he ate it just like that. He never thought that he would fall for it so easily. What are you trying to do? He asked. Great Master Ji, don't you want to take a look at the poison in your body? Sima Yue asked. Since you didn't take my life immediately, I naturally have time to study the antidote for this poison. What I'm more curious about is, why did you poison me? Great Master Ji said confidently. There were only a few poisons that could make his body weak and block his spiritual power. These were all things that he could not play with. Everyone says that Great Master Ji's poison skills are high, so it's normal for you to think that way. Sima Yue leaned on the chair. However, I think that it's better for you to take a look at the poison in your body. Great Master Ji saw that she was so confident and felt that she was still too young and did not understand him well enough to think that she could control him. However, since she said so, there was no harm in him checking himself first. Unexpectedly, after this check, his face instantly became very ugly, and a wave of hostility burst forth. Chapter 1622. Love. Great Master Ji finally stopped looking down on Sima Yue. The way he stared at her changed again and again. Finally, he suppressed his anger. Who are you? How could he concoct such a poison? The 100 insects and 100 herbs poison isn't a difficult poison. There's no need for Great Master Ji to be so surprised, right? Sima said, "As for who I am, Great Master Ji doesn't have to care. I don't have any direct conflict with you. I just want to make a deal with you." Great Master Ji had already guessed it and was not surprised. He asked, "What kind of deal? Since we both have the poison and the antidote, why don't we exchange the antidote? You want the antidote for the 100 insects and 100 herbs poison? You're one of young master's men?" Great Master Ji immediately understood her motive. "I'm not one of your young master's men. I just happened to know him and made a deal with him," Sima said. "You really like to trade with others?" Great Master Ji mocked. "Thank you for the compliment." Great Master Ji wanted to shout, "I'm not praising you. I don't have the antidote. The antidote was taken away by the patriarch." He said, "Patriarch? What is he going to do with the antidote?" Sima was surprised. "How would I know?" Great Master Ji scoffed. "It's all right, since the antidote is gone, you can refine another one." Sima said, "I know, you must have left the recipe for this pill." Master Ji instinctively wanted to say no, but he realized that there was no point in saying that in front of her. "I don't have that many herbs," he said. "The clan head knows what kind of herbs are needed for the antidote. Once I use the herbs, the clan head will know. I think you don't want him to know, right?" "It's okay, I have the herbs." Sima said, "Show me the prescription and I'll know." Show her the formula? Great Master Ji was unwilling. "Think about it carefully." Sima did not force him. She stood up and walked around the room. When she saw the poison and the extracted essence on the table, she smiled. Was he having a headache because of this? No wonder he looked so angry when she came in. She condensed a flame and formed a small cauldron. Then she picked up the medicinal herb on the table and threw it in. "What are you doing?" Great Master Ji roared. Did she know how precious and difficult it was to extract this medicinal herb? So casually, his anger was quickly replaced by surprise. He didn't expect that not only did she not burn the herbs, she even started to condense liquid at the roots of the herbs. Was she refining? Thinking of this, he calmed down and watched her extract. Sima ignored him and focused all her attention on refining. Very quickly, that stalk of medicine turned into a ball of emerald green liquid and a ball of residue. She picked up the jade bowl on the table and put the extracted essence into it. Then, with a wave of her hand, the flames and residue disappeared. "Let me see." Great Master Ji ran over and snatched the jade bowl away. Seeing the emerald green essence inside, which was many times purer than what he had extracted, he looked at her in agitation. "How did you do it?" "That's how I did it. It's just a small matter," Sima said confidently. Great Master Ji wanted to say how was it a small matter? But then he remembered that she really did it casually. To her, it was indeed a small matter. He didn't expect this young lady to be such an expert. Previously, he guessed that the 100 worms and 100 herbs were not refined by her. But after this incident, he realized that she was really a poison expert. "Young lady, let's discuss this properly. It's not impossible for you to have my antidote, but you have to tell me how to extract it. No, you have to stay here and discuss poison with me," Great Master Ji said agitatedly. Sima looked at him strangely. Wasn't his change of heart too fast? "You said that the antidote was taken away by the master." She said, "I can refine it again." "You said that you don't have the herbs." "I can go and get them." "You said that the master knows the ingredients of the antidote. If you take the herbs, you will be discovered." "I still have most of the herbs here, but I'm missing a few key ones. If I only take those, I can say that I'm researching on the others if the master asks." Sima stared at him, trying to determine if he was telling the truth. Great Master Ji took out the 100 worms and 100 herbs formula and said, "These are my 100 worms and 100 herbs. You should believe my sincerity after seeing it." Sima took the formula and looked at it. She was sure that most of the poisonous worms and herbs were similar to the ones in this formula. She knew that it should be true. Seeing that she didn't speak, Great Master Ji said again, "I swear, it's definitely this one." Sima threw the formula back to him and said, "I can tell you if you want, but you can't tell anyone my identity while I'm here. I won't give you the antidote until I leave. When are you leaving? I'll leave after watching your clan's competition. Don't worry, it'll only be a few days. I won't take your life. Sima Yue said. You're leaving so soon. Can't you stay a little longer? Great Master Ji called out. Sima Yue saw how reluctant he was and was stunned. I still have things to do. But I'll definitely teach you how to refine it in the next few days. All right then. Great Master Ji agreed unwillingly. Sima Yue walked to the child's side. He had fainted when she first moved. She took out the antidote and waved it under his nose. He slowly woke up. Master, what's wrong? The child was a little dizzy. Nothing much. I have something to discuss with her. You can go do your thing. Don't tell anyone about what happened today. You can't tell anyone that there's an extra person in my courtyard. Great Master Ji said. Although the child was a little confused, he didn't dare to disobey his master's orders and left obediently. His master's words were always right. Miss Yue, look where now. Great Master Ji really wanted her to teach him, but it didn't seem likely at the moment. What's the point of looking at me? You don't even have the herbs here. Even if I were to explain it to you, you wouldn't have anything to practice with. Sima Yue said. I'll go to the medicinal hall now and personally ask for the missing herbs. Also, bring a few stalks of this over. Great Master Ji said and left. Sima Yue stayed in the courtyard and let the child bring her to choose a bedroom. After the child left, she released some scarlet bees. Although she believed that Great Master Ji wouldn't harm her, it was still better to be safe. At this moment, the scarlet bees that were left at Mi Er's side sent news that Second Master Tao was back. Sima Yue asked them to keep a close eye on him. She was curious how Mi Er would deal with Second Master Tao. She only knew that Second Master Tao liked beauties. Beauty! She suddenly thought of something and smiled unscrupulously. She sent a message to Mi Er saying that she would find something for Second Master Tao to do. That night, a portrait passed through the hands of several people and arrived in front of Second Master Tao. Looking at the portrait that looked like a real person, Second Master Tao felt like he couldn't breathe. Is there really such a beautiful person in this world? He asked the guard beside him. Second Master, we've already investigated thoroughly. This person really does exist. But what? But this isn't a human. It's just a spirit beast transformation. That guard replied. Spirit beast transformation? Second Master Tao's voice was obviously more interested than angry. Yes. The guard knelt on the ground and wondered if Second Master's taste was so weird. Spirit beast, I really haven't tasted one. Second Master Tao chuckled. Do you know who this person is? Where is she? She's at Rabbit Ear Mountain. The guard replied. Rabbit Ear Mountain? Then let's go to Rabbit Ear Mountain and take a look. Second Master, the clan's assessment will be held in a few days. If something happens before the assessment, why don't we go after the assessment? The guard tried to persuade him. Am I the master or are you the master? Second Master Tao kicked him. Hurry up and prepare the transportation array for me. It wouldn't take long. They could only rush back by using the transportation array. The guard groaned in his heart and got up to leave. Sima Yue received news from Chi Feng that Second Master Tao went to Rabbit Ear Mountain that night. She didn't know if he could come back alive. Since he wasn't around, Mi Er wanted to come back. Sima Yue thought that other than the two guards, there was no one else who knew about what happened to her. Hence, she asked him to clean up the two guards and come back secretly. Mi Er was elated when he heard that. After destroying the corpses, he went to Sima Yue's place under the cover of the night. Just as Mi Er returned to Yue's hand, she heard a knock on the door. Yue, I've refined the antidote. Great Master Ji was waiting outside the door. Sima Yue opened the door to let him in. He immediately handed over the antidote and said, This is the antidote for young master's 100 worms and 100 herbs. Is this for real? Of course it's for real. Great Master Ji blew his beard and glared. He wanted to get angry, but he didn't dare to in front of her. He chuckled and said, "Don't worry, my little life is still in your hands. I also want to ask you to teach me something. I'll believe you this once." Sima Yue opened her little realm and let Tao Yi out. When he saw Tao Yi, Great Master Ji's expression changed a few times. In the end, he didn't say anything and didn't do anything. Sima Yue handed the antidote to Tao Yi and said, "This is the antidote that Great Master Ji personally refined. If you believe him, then eat him." Tao Yi took the antidote and glanced at Great Master Ji. The latter proudly turned his head to the side. He didn't refine this thing for the sake of the young lord. Tao Yi glanced at Sima Yue again. She didn't have any expression on her face, as if it didn't matter to her whether he ate the antidote or not. If it was before, he might have been suspicious. However, after walking around the little realm, he understood her quite a bit. Since she didn't say that there was anything wrong with the antidote, then there shouldn't be any problems. Thus, he ate the antidote without any hesitation. After waiting for a while, he felt his body twitch in pain. It was as if every part of his body was being cut by a knife. His internal organs were also in turmoil. He was almost about to faint from the pain. This antidote. He grabbed the chair and the back of the chair was pulled off by him. He wanted to say that the antidote was fake, but his body was in so much pain that he couldn't say anything. His entire body fell to the ground. Sima Yue walked over and squatted down, saying, "This antidote is real. It's just that the process is a bit difficult to endure. Seeing how much pain you're in, I'll help you a bit more. Once you wake up, your poison will be completely cured." Tao Yi looked at her with a dazed gaze. The pain had already made his mind a little hazy. He didn't know what Sima Yue had given him because he fainted immediately after. Chapter 1624. When Tao Yi woke up, he was already in bed. His whole body was still in pain, but the feeling of his spiritual energy being blocked had already disappeared. He immediately checked and found that the pain was normal. Does this mean that my poison has been cured? He moved a little, and his whole body was in pain. He thought that the process of detoxification was even worse than being poisoned. Hearing voices outside, he sat up slowly. Before he could get off the bed, he heard the door open and Sima Yue's voice came from the door. "If I were you, I'd lie down. Otherwise, there will be no medicine for regret if there are any side effects." Tao Yi also knew that his body's condition wasn't very good, so he obediently laid back down. "How long have I been unconscious?" "Not long, just 3 or 4 days." Sima Yue walked over and checked his pulse. "The poison has been cleared. Why is the detoxification process so painful?" Tao Yi asked. "Your body shrank when you were poisoned. Now that you've been detoxified, it's only natural that your body will grow back. There was a process for the body to grow from small to big. You're lucky that you met me. Otherwise, you'd die from the pain even if you got the antidote." Sima Yue said, "But you look better when you're young." Tao Yi felt as if he had been teased. "We're in Great Master Ji's courtyard now?" "No one in the clan knows, right?" he asked worriedly. "Even if you don't believe him, you should believe me. I still need to discuss poison techniques with him, so you should rest here. You will be able to get out of bed in 2 days." Sima Yue took out a pill and stuffed it into his mouth. She then stood up and left. Tao Yi was a little annoyed. He didn't know if Sima Yue was angry or not. He also knew that there was no need for him to ask this question. If someone knew, would he still be able to wake up? He was probably killed while he was unconscious. However, he had asked that question out of the blue, and it had made her unhappy. Sima Yue left the room. In fact, she was not angry, but she felt that she had nothing to say to him. Moreover, they were discussing poison in the courtyard just now. She came in when she heard him wake up. Now that they were done, she had to go out. "How is he?" Great Master Ji asked. "Old Ji, your poison of 100 insects and herbs is much more powerful than mine. This detoxification process is really good. Sima Yue returned to her seat. You're the one who's more powerful than me. Great Master Ji said, if my poison was used on you, it wouldn't work. But you poisoned me. I was just lucky. Sima Yue said, my advantage is that I'm young and have a disguise. You don't know me well, but I know you. In that case, there's no comparison at all. Alright, let's stop flattering each other. Why don't you take a look at how to cure this poison? Great Master Ji said as he pushed a piece of paper in front of her. For the past 2 days, the two of them had been playing this kind of game. One of them would take out the raw materials of the poison without saying the amount and refining method, and then let the other guess and give the corresponding antidote. Most of the time, it was Great Master Ji who gave it, and Sima Yue would guess. Although it wasn't 100% accurate, it was 90% accurate. And every time Sima Yue gave him the raw materials, Great Master Ji would take a long time to study them. It wasn't that his poison skills weren't good, but because the materials that Sima Yue took out were all very rare or tricky. However, Great Master Ji didn't care that he was inferior to her. Every time he saw Sima Yue's recipe, he would be very excited. The two of them played like this for 2 days and still couldn't get enough of it. Sima Yue picked up the paper and looked at it. She didn't answer immediately, but placed it on the table and lightly tapped on the paper with her right hand. Old Ji, you should know about Tao Yixian's situation and what I want to do, right? She asked. I know. So what? Haven't you thought of telling family head Tao and the others? Great Master Ji rolled his eyes and said, why should I tell them? Aren't you guys together? Who said that I'm with them? Sima Yue was stunned. Could it be that they weren't? Their surname is Tao and my surname is Ji. I'm not from their family. I'm not even a guest official. I'm just making a deal with them. They provide me with a quiet life and I provide them with some poison. That's all. I don't participate in the power struggle between them, so of course I don't belong to any faction. Great Master Ji said. If I can stay here, then I'll stay. If I can't, then I'll leave. It's not like I'm begging them. Sima Yue didn't think that they had this kind of relationship. Then do you know who wanted this 100 worms and 100 herbs poison back then? She asked. I don't know. I only know that the person who came had the family head's waist token. I've always only recognized the waist token and not the person, so I didn't pay attention to the people in the family. So even though I didn't know him, I still gave him the poison. Great Master Ji knew that she wanted to ask about what happened back then, so he told her everything he knew. He had the family head's waist token? If it wasn't him, then he must have a good relationship with him. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to get the waist token. Yue, since we're going to chat, shouldn't there be good wine, dishes, desserts and fruits? Great Master Ji asked. He ate the food she made yesterday and was craving it again today. Sima Yue looked at him and knew that if she wanted to get more information out of him, she had to satisfy him first. Thus, she didn't ask any more questions. She got up and prepared 4 dishes, a pot of wine and a plate of spirit fruits. Great Master Ji ate a heartless fruit first. Even though he was poisoned by it, it didn't stop him from falling in love with it. Sima Yue sat back down and poured a cup of wine for Great Master Ji. Then, she poured another cup for herself before asking, you know about the poison, but what about the antidote? Was it given together? Or was it given later? The family head personally came to take the poison. Great Master Ji took a sip of wine. At that time, I was still asking why he took so long to get the antidote. He said, I forgot. His expression was a little unnatural. Even though I could tell, I said that I wouldn't interfere with the Gu family's matters, so I didn't ask too much and gave him the antidote. Later on, I heard that the young master had been plotted against by someone and had already escaped for a long time. When Sima Yue heard this, she could already roughly guess what had happened. The person who had poisoned him shouldn't have been Tao Yixian's father. Thinking about it, he should have felt a little comforted. However, his father had still been willing to participate in the plot. As for what part, she didn't know. As for the mastermind behind it, it should have been someone family head Tao wanted to protect. Otherwise, he wouldn't have taken the blame. There were only a few people who hated Tao Yixian to the bone and wanted to get rid of him. However, There weren't many people who could make family head Tao protect him like this. Chapter 1625. Love, no matter what, between Tao Yixian and the person behind him, family head Tao had chosen the latter. Although he hadn't done it himself, the damage done to Tao Yixian wasn't small. Sima Yue turned around to look at his room. He must have heard their conversation. She wondered what he would think. At this time, it was better to let him stay quietly. I don't know why Master is here to get the antidote. Great Master Ji said, but I think it's more likely that he wants to destroy the evidence. Why don't you guess that he's trying to find Tao Yixian and cure him of the poison? Sima Yue asked. Because when I gave him the antidote, I said that if he wanted to detoxify the poison, it would be best to prepare 2 more painkillers. Otherwise, the poisoned person wouldn't be able to take it. He only said that he knew, but he didn't ask me for anything else. He just took that to relieve his stress and left. Great Master Ji said, "It's not that serious to destroy the evidence, is it? Don't we still have you?" Sima Yue stared at him. As long as you're alive, there's still hope. However, Great Master Ji smiled and shook his head. You don't know my habits. Under normal circumstances, I won't casually refine an antidote for others. After saying that, he raised his head and glanced at her. If she hadn't threatened and tempted him, he wouldn't have refined it for her. Sima Yue understood the look in his eyes. She rubbed her nose and chuckled. I'm in a different situation. Junior has indeed offended you before. Come, let me offer you a toast as an apology. How about that? You little girl, do you often do this kind of thing? Giving a sweet date after a slap? Great Master Ji raised his wine glass and clinked it with hers before downing it. Hee, not often, just occasionally. Sima Yue said, I had no choice. You said you made a deal with the young master. What is it? Sima Yue thought about it and told him about how she came to look for someone. So, you came to the Lost Island to find your master and teacher? Great Master Ji said. Yes, they came here for me. Now that their whereabouts are unknown, how can I just leave them be? Sima Yue sighed. Now, I just hope that they are not suffering here. Your master and the others really took in a good disciple. Great Master Ji was a little envious of Su Jin and the others. Not to mention whether or not she could find them, but her sincerity was very touching. He glanced at the little girl who was fiddling with the herbs in the courtyard. He wondered how much better his little fellow would be compared to her when the time came. Just then, there was a knock on the door, interrupting their conversation. The child went to open the door and saw the people outside. He asked, What's the matter? Is Great Master Ji here? The clan head asked him to come over immediately. The person who came said anxiously, My master is busy. Seeing that his master didn't say anything, the child directly refused. After saying that, he went to close the door. Young master, don't be in such a hurry to close the door. This is the order of the clan head. Something happened to the second master, and the clan head wants him to hurry over and take a look. What does second master's accident have to do with my master? If you don't leave now, I'll release poison. The child threatened. Something really happened to second master. I'll have to trouble you to tell Great Master Ji. I'm here with the clan head's token. The guard's voice was very anxious. It seemed like second master's situation wasn't good. Sima Yue's heart skipped a beat when she first heard about second master. She didn't think that that fellow would actually come back alive. Why didn't that woman just kill him? Seeing how anxious that person was, she didn't know what second Master Tao's situation was like. Thinking of this, she stood up and stood behind Great Master Ji. She respectfully said, Old Master, since something happened to second master and the clan head sent someone to invite you over, shouldn't we go? It's not good if we don't go, right? Once she spoke, the guard knew that Great Master Ji was in the courtyard, but he couldn't see them from his position. Great Master Ji, the clan head said that you must go. He shouted towards the courtyard. Great Master Ji looked at Sima Yue, who was acting like a servant, and raised his eyebrows. You want to go and watch the show? Sima Yue smiled very happily. What's wrong with watching a show? It's better than being cooped up here. Since that's the case, let's go and take a look. Great Master Ji brought Sima Yue out and said to the child, "You have to look after the house properly. Most of the things in our courtyard are poisonous. Don't let anyone in." "Master, I understand." The child obediently replied. Sima Yue looked at him and thought of his gaze just now. She thought that he would definitely be more vicious than Shi Qianji when he grew up. The guard outside the courtyard was stunned when he saw the servant girl behind Great Master Ji. Wasn't Great Master Ji a loner who didn't interact with women? When did he have a servant girl? Didn't you say that the situation was urgent? Why are you still standing here? Great Master Ji said in a low voice. Yes. Great Master Ji, please follow me. The guard brought them directly to Second Master Tao's residence. They only found out about his situation on the way. You're saying that Second Master Tao went to Rabbit Ear Mountain to flirt with that old monster and got poisoned? Sima Yue cried out in shock. She wanted to use that old monster to attract Second Master Tao's attention so that he would get into an accident when he went to Rabbit Ear Mountain. She didn't think that this fellow would be so daring to actually flirt with that old monster. Second Master Tao's luck is not bad to be able to escape from that person. Great Master Ji also knew about that lady in white and her terrifying ability. Second Master Tao didn't escape. He was released by that lady. The guard said, that lady said that she would let him off today on account of her relationship with the Tao family. However, even if he was spared from death, he couldn't escape punishment. She waved her hand and Second Master Tao fainted. After the guard brought Second Master Tao back, the family head invited a doctor to take a look at him, but he said that he was poisoned. They couldn't do anything, so the family head wanted to invite Great Master Ji over. Sima Yue touched her chin. She didn't expect that lady to be related to the Tao family. Although she didn't take Second Master Tao's life this time, he was unconscious, so the effect was the same. Very quickly, the group of people arrived at Second Master Tao's courtyard. The guard brought them to Second Master Tao's house. At this moment, a person just happened to walk out of the house. The guard in front quickly bowed. "Family head, Great Master Ji is here." Sima Yue raised her head and saw a man with a dignified appearance. His facial features didn't look like Tao Yixian. She guessed that he looked more like his mother. Family head Tao saw Great Master Ji and quickly bowed. "Great Master Ji, quickly take a look at my second brother. What kind of poison did he get? Why is he still unconscious?" "Family head, don't be anxious. Since I'm here, I will naturally examine Second Master Tao properly," Great Master Ji said as he was about to enter the house. Sima Yue followed behind him but was stopped by family head Tao. "Or you?" Chapter 1626. Love. Patriarch Tao placed a hand in front of Sima Yue, blocking her from behind Great Master Ji. Just like that, Great Master Ji entered the room while she remained outside. "Master, this servant is... I brought her back the last time I went out. I saw that she was quite talented in the art of poison, so I brought her back to do odd jobs." Great Master Ji said. "So it's the disciple that Great Master Ji has his eyes on. Please." Patriarch Tao stepped aside to let Sima Yue in. Sima Yue bowed and followed Great Master Ji in. "Close the door." Master Ji's voice rang out as she stepped past the door. Sima Yue turned around and looked at the people outside. Seeing that they did not have any strange expressions on their faces, she obediently closed the door. This Great Master Ji's position in the Tao family was really high. She sighed in her heart. "This is my habit," Great Master Ji said as he set up a barrier. He did not like it when others looked at him when he was treating patients. It felt like they were looking at a monkey. Sima Yue laughed and said, "How can you compare yourself like that?" However, if he did that, she would have more freedom here. Great Master Ji walked over and looked at Second Master Tao before saying, "He was indeed poisoned. This poison is so strange." Sima Yue's interest was piqued. "Why is it strange?" "I think he was poisoned, or maybe he just fell asleep. Come and take a look." Great Master Ji stood up and asked her to examine Second Master Tao. Sima Yue felt second Master Tao's pulse and was also surprised. She said, "This situation is really strange. Right? Am I right?" Great Master Ji said, "From the looks of it, it should be an accidental poisoning. I think being poisoned is just one of the reasons. His body must have been tampered with," Sima Yue said. "You have a grudge with this guy?" Great Master Ji asked. "Forget it. I was wondering why you would come here." Great Master Ji said, "However, even I can't do anything about this poison. I can't do anything even if you want me to. If you can't do it, then don't do it. Just let him lie there. It's fine." Sima Yue said, "If I go out like this, the patriarch will probably go crazy. He usually dotes on second master a lot." Great Master Ji said, "You don't care about that, do you?" Sima Yue smiled. "Besides, I didn't ask you to do nothing. Even if you do research, it will take you at least a few days to get results, right? You just need to extend the time a little." "How long?" Great Master Ji didn't even bat an eyelid. It was just a small favor, so he helped her out. Who asked him to like this little fellow more? "It won't take long. Just don't let him attend the conference." Sima Yue said, "No problem. Even if you didn't mention it, I reckon that I would have to wait until then to figure it out." Great Master Ji said, "Old Ji, you're so nice." Sima Yue said gratefully, "Fine, fine, fine." "You're the first person to say that I'm good," Old Ji said. Others had always scolded him for being cruel and merciless, or for being a loner. No one had ever said that he was a good person before. "That's because they can't see your good side." Sima Yue said, "They only have fear, dread, respect, and reverence for you. Naturally, they won't be able to see your good side. You sure know how to talk." Great Master Ji took out a jade bowl and filled it with second Master Tao's fresh blood. Then he retracted the barrier and said, "Let's go out and report." Sima Yue took a step back and let him walk in front. Then, she quickly fed him a pill when she turned around. The people outside were waiting anxiously. When they saw the two of them coming out, they quickly surrounded them. "Great Master Ji, how is it? Is he poisoned?" Patriarch Tao asked. "Patriarch, second master is indeed poisoned. This poison is very strange. I have never seen it before. I need to do some research," Great Master Ji said. "But Patriarch, don't worry. Second master's life is not in danger for now." Patriarch Tao's heart relaxed a little after knowing that second Master Tao's life was not in danger. "Then I'll have to trouble Great Master Ji," he said. "This is what I should do," Great Master Ji said. "However, this poison is really too strange. Even if it's me, I will definitely be able to help second master recover completely. But as for what side effects there will be, I can't give you a clear answer now. As long as Great Master Ji tries his best." Patriarch Tao said. The other doctors, alchemists, and poison masters in the family were all helpless. He was already more capable than others to be able to save second Master Tao. "Patriarch, I heard that second master was turned into this state by old Rabbit Ear Mountain. Maybe you can find her and get the antidote," Great Master Ji suggested sincerely. "I'll consider it, but we'll have to rely on Great Master Ji here. As long as second brother wakes up, the family will definitely give you a big gift," Patriarch Tao said. "Even if you don't say this, I'll try my best. Such an interesting poison is worth my research. Patriarch will head back first," Great Master Ji said and left. Sima Yue followed behind him. When they were about to leave the courtyard, they brushed past a lady. "Why you here? Didn't I ask you to rest in the courtyard? Now that you're pregnant, you can't just walk around. I heard that second brother's condition is very serious. I was worried about you, so I came over to take a look," that lady said gently. "Second brother hasn't woken up yet, but Great Master Ji said." Sima Yue walked far away and couldn't hear the rest of the words. But there was no need to guess who this lady was. She was definitely the so-called Madam of the Patriarch, Yin Ilian. She was so delicate and weak that one couldn't help but feel pity for her. No wonder Patriarch Tao was so infatuated with her that he didn't even want his son. She was pregnant? Didn't they say that Patriarch Tao couldn't have children? Why was she pregnant again? She asked Great Master Ji this question. They said that they found some godly doctor from somewhere and cured Patriarch's body. They said that he could have children now. In less than 2 months, Madam got pregnant. Great Master Ji said with disdain when he talked about the godly doctor. Since there's a godly doctor, why didn't he come to treat him today? He left long ago. I don't even know if his corpse is still around. Great Master Ji said as he walked. Sima Yue guessed that he must have been silenced. Those people weren't as insightful as Great Master Ji. The two of them returned to the courtyard one after the other. After the child opened the door for them, he said, "Master, no one came in." "Well done. I'll teach you how to identify poisons tonight." "Okay." The child ran off with a smile. Great Master Ji found a container to store Second Master Tao's bowl of blood before asking, "Little girl, what poison did you give Second Master Tao?" You saw it." Sima Yue didn't feel awkward after being caught red-handed. She smiled magnanimously. "Actually, it's nothing much. I just want his little brother to sleep forever." Let his little brother sleep forever? Wasn't this to make him unable to be a man in the future? Before he could speak, Sima Yue added, "There's no cure for it." You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.